important this game is. I am fully expecting FearX to turn up and look a little bit different today. NIP as well. So I am predicting a good close game between both of them and 3 maps.
I really hope so, because you and I were casting FearX when a bunch of these players first appeared on the scene as well. You know, Mephi and Good Boy especially, the two 18-year-olds that appeared and were like instantly snapped up from the dregs of the Korean scene because they were just so damn phenomenal. But we've got to see them come online. You can't turn to the old guard in players like Woogie and Rin, who, of course, we know from the Damwon Gaming Kia days, they were absolutely phenomenal. They were one gunfight off making it to the final of the Sweden Major, let's not forget. But they've just struggled to refine that form. And on the other side for NIP, we've been asking, when are we going to see them get back to that form that saw them lift the hammer just a few years ago? Well, Pino's the only player, of course, from that previous squad that has tasted that success. He's looked fab throughout this tournament so far, at least on day one he did. But let's see how, as a collective, these two teams can get the job done. We're kicking things off down in the basement. It's FearX on the defense, NIP on the attack, and our bans, I'd say, are relatively standard. A double shield ban coming out against NIP, and on the other side, they're taking the Clash away from FearX and also the Azami.
Let's get into it then. Round 1. It's Leia. It's FearX versus NIP. NIP starting on the attack, so FearX we are looking for. Stop staring at me. FearX we are looking to have a strong start on the defense. Kicking things off down in the basement. We can see that presence above as well. Quartered, Good Boy, Rin all up there at the minute. Mephi joining him as well. Good Boy all the way up to the top floor on the score post. Keep an eye on him. So NIP need... There's one of two options here. You either leave the roamers out in the cold, just go direct route straight into sight, see what you can get going. It looks like they're going to be favouring towards Warehouse. They've got Cons on the shield looking to get in there as well. I'm looking to see particularly a little bit more out of Cons and Wizard today. They've been struggling a little bit to put the stats up. I know that Cons is kind of RGLing and other things, you know, playing on that support, has the diffuser, but in Modern Siege, everybody's got to be chipping in with the numbers. So looking for a little bit more from those two particularly today.
It's absolutely it, right? Like Speakeasy in one of the games that we were casting the other day, you know, came out 3-3 at the end of a map, and you look at that and think, wow, he's done nothing. But it was actually because he was on shields the whole time and feeding information to his team and, you know, being a contributor in other ways that isn't always recognized. And you could say the same about Savage on Team Secret, especially for shield players. You see that be the case, but I'm 100% with you, Tim. We've got to see everyone step up. And those two players that we highlighted in our match highlight at the start, Woogie versus Fantasy, Woogie comes out on top, and it's the Capital taken offline.
Yeah, what a great direct kind of head-to-head there on that entry battle. You highlighted it before, and we'll monitor that as it goes through the game. It's going to be a really important part of this one. FearX now with a good advantage, and the reason that that's such a strong advantage is, if you remember I said Good Boy was going up to that top floor on Scorpos, by them getting the entry kill, they've got that extra man. So Good Boy can maybe play this round with a little bit more risk. He doesn't necessarily need to teleport himself back to site when he otherwise would. He can stay out there and he can just really try to make himself a nuisance without leaving his team short-handed. So this is great for FearX.
It is. Now, what can we do with the shield, though? Cons is the one I've got my eye on, of course, on the Blackbeard. He really should be at the front of the team leading them through, and sure enough, he is. There's a second player right behind him as this track comes through onto Mephi. Scream now, my son, because the calls are closing in around you. Rin also going to fall, converting into a third there. Great little flurry of play coming out from NIP. They've got a lot of the control they need. Cons is down, but will be recovered. No! Woogie again, the hero, steps up. Good for a 3K, and Tim, he's going to have to start out there, run on Lair with an ace if he wants to win this round.
Yeah, it was a nice little flank from Woogie Man there. Good Boy really missed his opportunity, didn't he? Hits with a beautiful flick on that pistol of the Deimos, managing to get him taken down with the Vendetta. But it still leaves NIP now in a 2v1. They've got 30 seconds left on the clock. Wizards doing a little bit of drawn in here, so they should have a good idea of Woogie Man's location. But I'm going to put it out there. I see a world where he wins this, Des.
I think he can, you know. Flash is coming in to try and at least get some steps forward, and they are inside of sight here. Here we go. Woogie finds another. On for the 3. It looks like an ace because he shot out one of the down players. Almost finds the head, but just misses Pino, who, as I said, has had a wonderful start to the tournament. Here we go. Pino ain't losing those. Round 1 to NIP.
Yeah, close to Woogie Man there. As soon as he drops that case inside of sight, you think maybe he gets this. He had to take the fight, really. I know there's a little bit of an instinct there to think, just keep yourself out of trouble. Don't take the peak. 15 seconds left to go. I think the problem with him doing that is Pino knows exactly where he is. So he knows Pino is going to play for the challenge. There's no way in a 1v1 that he's going to try to put the diffuser down, because at at that point, you can't make a challenge. You know, you don't have your gun up to be able to fight. So he knows Pino's going to come looking for him. So, yeah, I agree with Woogie Man there. Take the fight on your own terms. Try to get the win. But ultimately, it's always going to be difficult up against former world champion Pino.
I love that for NIP as well. Like they're playing against an APAC team in the server. They've got Daystar, another APAC team across from them, cheering that they're winning. It's going to start to build up at some point. If you see FearX got a bit of a tear, that you've got APAC winning all around you, and you're like, no, it can't go like this. But absolutely, Pino was the saviour in the moment, the one hitting all the kills required. 3 in the round to save it, but it was a close affair. We've had so many games, Tim, that have started out one-on-one. We've seen good rounds from either side. Last round, really, for FearX was all about Woogie and what he was doing for the boys, because they absolutely folded in the mid-round. Really good push in from NIP behind that shield to get the kills they did. Let's see how things go here up on the top floor.
A lot of options for attacking this one. We haven't seen Mask Wall opened too often in the games that we've covered of Lair, at least, but you've obviously always got that option. We want to see somebody coming in from Ops, really. Even if the attack's not going to be primarily from that side, I always like that little bit of attention coming in there. I'm looking at maybe hits on the ace. Get yourself inside of Ops.
Hits on the ace.
Hits on the ace.
Mate,
get
honestly.
in there, get that control. You can start controlling mezzanine. You get the cut-off through sight from the door. A lot you can do from that Ops corridor. So drone going through, looks like they're going to do that, and I'm concerned here for NIP because, for FearX, because they've given that area up. We saw it from SSG the other day. They weren't defending Ops. They were, giving it up to Team Secret, and it is a little bit of an issue.
Oh dear.
It's a bit of a mistake from NIP. They've got Hates waiting outside of Ops. Just wait until he gets in. Wait until he gets in. He can breach the wall. He can get onto the door. They're going to be a much, more difficult position for FearX to play that trick onto the wall. The
problem is they're the ones reinforcing Electrified off as well, so they can just keep playing this dance all day long, which is part of the worry here. Like, Mephi's going to have to step away. They've still got 3 of those Impact EMPs on side if required, but Hayes has got in. And absolutely, you can't easily step across there, at least not without some cover and support. So that wall will now be opened. Of course, you get a few more bites of the cherry now on the Thermite now that he's got 3 of those Exothermics, and Hates just deletes Mephi from the server.
And that's why I wanted somebody in Ops. You get in there, you get that wall open, you've now just stopped them playing inside of Office, you remove that difficult position in behind Desk. NIP are in a great position to win this. Whilst all this is happening, Mask Wall and Ops, they've also got Wizard floating around that display side. He's just waiting for his moment, and all of the guns at the minute on the side of FearX are looking towards Mask Wall and Ops. This is absolutely prime for Wizard to do some damage from that bathroom display side.
They do have Woogie on the smoke as well to stave off a display attack, which is very common, but right now they're dropping smokes down onto Mez, looking in towards the wall that was opened up early. They are convinced that an Execute is coming in from that angle, and that is really
got them spinning on their heels, and this is NIP creating this confusion.
They just look so lost right now, Tim. Like, yeah, sure, Fantasy is actually baiting the breach itself, so of course they're going to look there, but he does what Fantasy does best. In for 2. Rin gets at least 1 back on the trade, but it's all over Tim. And the best part is NIP have double baited them here. They've now rotated over towards Mask Wall to get a plant down. They have just spun them on their heels 10,000 times in this round, and even with the Chanka coming out here, it's not going to be enough for them. Plant is down, and this round is done.
Yeah, the Shumiko canisters were missed anyway. There was no damage coming onto Cons. Wizard is going to be downed, but it's largely irrelevant. Rin's got to fight his way back in on the Chanka. That's it. He'll get the stats. But other than that, unlikely, I think, to find any more. Everybody's kind of got themselves out of those danger positions now, relocated and just playing the post plant. They've even got Hates down in bathroom, watching the long angle through door so that he can't cross over. Really well played. Pino picks up the final kill. Well, that was a beautiful attack from NIP there. Really As I said, got that Mask Wall open, but the focus into Ops just shows the power of that position, and I'm a little bit disappointed in teams defending this top floor recently. I mentioned SSG during the round because we saw the same thing against Secret. It was nowhere on the ace, was able to just walk into Ops, open the wall, take the ground, and exactly the same thing happened. They go in, they just take that ground, and the round falls apart from there for FearX. But I also like from NIP, once they had that, the effort then through bathroom and display, just FearX didn't know whether they were coming or going. Really well played there from NIP.
I don't want to kick a puppy while it's down here, but FearX do look very messy across those first couple of rounds. You know, the fold in the mid-round that we saw in round 1. Here, they just had no idea who was coming at them from where and just didn't look ready for anything that was coming their way. It's not a promising start. Now, Lair admittedly is one of those maps that we have seen a lot of really good attacking teams on that show that this can be very attacker-leaning. The same can be said of maps like Labs as well, and of course maps like Border. But it's more the fashion in which they've lost their 2 defenses that I am now quite worried. We're going to skip out the first floor, go back down to the basement here, Tim. Clearly, there's some corrections to do. They're going to stay out on the roam. They've got the Vigil. They've got the Castle on side. They won't be staying on site itself. But I still worry about the fashion in which they lose, especially now there's a Dokkaebi and a Deimos on the other side.
Look, the honest truth is, it sounds really simple to say. When I always come into rounds like this thinking, right, you've already defended this site, you lost it. What do we need to change? What do we need to see different? And it's a really simple one. Win your gunfights. You know, I spoke about Good Boy. He went down there. It was kind of like target blindness. It was the kid in the sweet shop. He goes in, and there was multiple kills in front of him. He didn't get either of them, and then got headshotted by the Vendetta. Don't get me wrong. It was a great shot. It was a great shot from the Deimos. Hates managing to hit his target quickly, but Good Boy should have had a 2K there. And at this level, you got to take the opportunities that are in front of you. You cannot allow them to slip through your fingers like that, because otherwise you will be punished, and they were. So that's one of the big changes here for FearX, is go in and if you get those opportunities, make the most of them.
Well, first phone call coming out just a few seconds after it was available to Wizard, just in case there was anyone trying to rat out on them, and they've already got a bit of a sniff onto Mephi, who, as you can see, is at the other end of Highway. He's had a chance to fall back down the stairs here, supported by his teammates to get back closer towards site. But as soon as the Dokkaebi call picked up on him, he had no chance of staying out there for too long. And it's why I so often say that Dokkaebi, even despite the changes she had last year, is still arguably the best attacking operator in the game. So ludicrously effective at forcing teams back. And for teams that know how to take map control effectively, you haven't really got to worry about roamers too much. You can just move forward one step at a time until you're looking at the site, and then you can hit your execute.
And Happy will continue on the chase here for the time being. We've got the boogie drone set up inside of main lobby. That will no doubt be activated soon, just to make it difficult for the players inside of site. Hates manages to pick up Mephi. That's the Vigil gone. That's going to be a big one for NIP. That creates a lot of freedom for them. 2 reasons. Vigil, obviously always difficult to track down. Can't pick him up on your drones, any cameras, anything like that if you've grabbed him with the Dokkaebi. But also, he was the only one that was really out there roaming. We've got Courted on blue stairs, but as the smoke, he's just going to be playing wedge in that position to prevent them going down to filtration. So he's not going to get up and get aggressive realistically unless the opportunity really presents itself. But NIP will be aware of that. So now they've got that freedom to start using the sledge, to start using the ram, get that little bit of verticality into sight and start forcing FearX away from those power positions that they wanted to play. But saying that, Courted picks up an important kill. He has come up the blue stairs, and NIP have allowed him to get onto the flank. That's a big problem. Hits takes him down, but they did lose Pino along the way. Not the end of the world. 20 seconds left to go though, Des. That's the problem for NIP now.
That's it. It's the limited number of opportunities they've got to flank or hit players from different angles in the execute here. At least the Capital's available to cut off a couple of those. They'll drop and try and make this plan happen to him, but the castle barricade broken open at the right time. Good Boy finding one as Cons falls down. Hates and Wizard with it all to do, and they simply aren't going to get the chance to. Much better out of FearX in this round. They will win round 3. And what I love is that they were making good use of the roams. You know, Coated, you were speaking about him for a while. He tossed down 2 smokes at the top of stairs and was like, well, no one's pushing me when I stop. I'm just going to walk up here and see what happens. Didn't get seen on a drone. Punished them off the back of it. Wonderful stuff by Coated. And between him and Mephi, managed to disrupt the whole flow of that round for NIP.
If you remember, at the beginning of the round, I said one thing that FearX need to change is they need to take their opportunities. Mephi got one, took it. Coated got one, took it. Much better from FearX.
I heard we also have a tack timeout coming in for FearX in just a second. The final bans for them are going to be Glaz and Bandit. So afraid of a bit of cheese maybe coming out. Would have maybe liked to see a Capital ban. But in we go. I don't believe we get full audio here, but we'll try and listen in to see what we can hear.
So let's do the ad hoc make it really strong. So Voltage play with shield with holding up. And let's use you, JD, for 2 things. 2 operators. Or you put ABS for this position, but I want you playing lobby because today kid is not here, they have to use lobby. So you go down, you can go with a magical, things like that, and you rotate and you kill the lobby guy, you know. That's over the hound here, because if you play the hound for plenty, we have a tactical, but not very good, because table is step really weak. So Cortex played that Warden, put the shield there, we're gonna have this smoke. Maybe you just play more threat, maybe taunt, control area, you know. Can they go to, but I think threat to match always win.
가볍게 타고 나 메디컬 파이팅 좀.
Right. And for what most don't know is that Good Boy is the one who often we have Dart speaking to as the coach because he speaks quite good English, and then he translates across to the rest of the team in Korean. From what I heard off the back of that one, it was more very prescriptive in this next round, how he wanted to play it to be able to hold this top floor. And again, I hate kicking a puppy while it's down here. If you're having to step in and say to the players, hey, I want you to play this, I want you to play it in that spot and play this way in this round, and you over there, I want you to play this and do this, the fact you're having to micromanage the exact next round is a bit like, can the players not find that kind of within themselves to figure it out? And you talk more broadly about the next 3 rounds overall. It's a bit of a worrying one, Tim.
I'm going to say, please hold on to ops. That's going to be my advice to FearX.
It is hard with the Azami ban, granted.
It is, but you've got to find a way to... They've got Mirror available. You know, Mirror is a great op to be able to hold on to that position. Not a perfect solution, but still a possibility.
But still a solution, Tim.
Exactly that, still a solution. The problem last time came from that being opened up. That's where the entry kill came from. That's where they got Mask Wall opened up from. Their Fantasy then wandered in and got 2 kills. Need to keep hold of ops. I don't think that NIP are going to play it exactly the same way. They don't have an ace or a hard breach on side. So I'm going to expect to see more of kind of a display, maybe R6 room push. So over on that side. But Mephi, he is in position and playing to prevent them going into ops. So I like this adaptation from FearX. Even if it doesn't kind of come off in that way that there is fighting around there, what he's doing is just, if they weren't thinking about going there, they're not going to spot an opportunity to go there either. So good stuff from FearX.
I mean, my eyes, naturally, as you've raised, are on this lineup from NIP. There's no Ace, there's no Havana, there's no Thermite, there's nothing. And there's no... Okay, that's a lie. There are 2 hard breach gadgets in back pocket. To rely on that, though, when you know that you've seen things like Kai being brought along, is incredibly risky. So they're trying to hedge all their bets here, I imagine, on one push. And right now, that seems to be down highway. We've got Cons and Fantasy working their way forwards down here to attack from top down. And maybe others will execute in from display because you don't really need to open anything up from that direction. It's still risky. You are getting pushed through a bottleneck to try and execute into the B site of R6 room. And here we go. The stall might even begin here from Rin, who once again, Tim, though, has missed out with those Shankifiers.
Yeah, so Pino's supporting them here by sending in the Grim Bees, and it's just tagging out Quartered for starters. We see the nades coming in. Look at all this utility. There's nades, there's tracks, there's everything going on.
Another one?
NIP are not able yet to make any progress. Behind it, Mephi manages to find Pino over by the door, and that's an important one because it allows now the rotation back to site for FearX. Quartered has taken a lot of damage along the way, but NIP have grabbed no ground, and Fantasy has had to dip away to try and replace that position that Pino was in. FearX, the NIP don't need any help. Dolby team killing hits. Picks up Quartered as well. The little bit of health that he had left is taken away from underneath, by the way, with the Deimos on the Vendetta. Nicely played. NIP are not worrying here. It's not all gone immediately to plan, but they're doing a great job of kind of working with what they've got.
Yeah, Coty was fighting for his life. He was down to 1 HP. 4 nades came at him. We had the Grimbees on him. The tracks from Deimos coming in twice. Brutal. Survived until he tried to run away and then got himself caught. It was a bit of a stalemate there, really. But Rin really hasn't helped things on this chunk of this game. He's missed, I want to say, not every single fire that is thrown out, but the vast majority have not been where they needed to be to impede the push from NIP.
No way that Woogie Man should be getting away with that kill realistically. You've got Cons on the Blackbeard up there. You know, he should be challenging that smoke. He's come out of R6 room and made a little bit of a nuisance of himself there. But for now, Cons is trying to kind of make amends, push, get aggressive in towards side. Sees the Tachanka, but doesn't hit the shot. He's going to turn his back as well. But this is important progress by clearing out the Jaeger. He might have an opportunity to put this diffuser down. He's bringing him into a position, but his teammate can't cover. And Ring gets an important double from the display side. Nice rotation from him.
I tell you what, these rounds are... It's like going through a meat grinder at points. That push down top side, I was a bit like, bit bottlenecky, boys. You're going to find himself stuck here for a while. And that's exactly what happened. Admittedly enabled by the Deimos coming in from below. But the fact that it comes down to the last 10 seconds when all the action was focused at top green was mental.
Yeah, FearX did a good job there because they had 3 players over there. So if you're playing through Skybridge and in towards R6 room, especially with the Blackbeard, you kind of want to be aggressive. You want to push in there and take that ground while it's available for you. But great use of smoke canisters, great use of the Warden, and great use of manpower. 3 players flooded that area for FearX, recognised that's where the damage was going to be done, and just really held them back. And then we saw NIP kind of like, we've stalled out, Pino's died, Fantasy's had to rotate, and it kind of all changed for them. And they didn't really respond well enough, and Cons was just kind of stuck around for a long time.
Nades,
great.
Flashes, he
absorbed the pressure brilliantly. Yeah, it was really nice from FearX, recognising where the danger was coming from.
I was nervous at this moment, by the way, because it came down to, what, 0.25, and then he started getting the diffuser down. I thought, thought, surely we're not saying guns up here to try and win on fights alone, because you know someone's going to pop their head in. And sure enough, it was Rin who, for all his sins playing on that Shanka for the majority of these rounds, has won them around there. It has been pretty nail-bitingly close across every single round so far. No more than 2 players left alive for any team across all 4 of them. It is the struggle, the bloodbath, I think, that we expected between these two.
Okay, we're going to have the Thatcher brought along to deal with this external wall. Should be fairly straightforward. Will they get the Cade trick off here? That's going to help. They've got these auto canisters coming in from behind. The Thatcher is going to have to keep going. 5 charges available, but on the flip side,
the Tub's just going to come back on again. Like
they're not going to win this. They're not going to win this. There you go. That's exactly what was going to happen. Even with 5 charges on the Thatcher EMP cannon, it's not going to happen. You're just fighting a losing battle, because like you say, the auto canisters can keep pinging that out. The problem is the Cade can kind of swap them electricals every 4 or 5 seconds to keep reactivating them. And the auto canister lasts long enough to just burn out those Thatcher charges. So ultimately, always going to be difficult. And that is a big start for FearX, keeping that wall closed.
It's just a bit of an overinvestment, I think, in utility from Wizard when they should have accepted with 3 exothermics on side. They can play this game a bit later, just burn through the 2 barrels for now, and then look to get the plant open. Or even that, look for the verticals, absolutely. Now, it looks like that might be the plan, because they are starting to work their way above on this top floor now. Are still players, of course, upstairs from the side of FearX. 4 of them, in fact, on this 2nd floor right now. So there's a lot for NIP to clear through. And Tim, look at that. Half the round is gone.
It's not a bad idea from NIP. It's a good adaptation. Opening bottom green is going to have largely the same effect as opening that external wall. What it's going to do is restrict that movement inside a site. So it's going to make it difficult for the defenders to play where they want, and Pino manages to pick up Mephi. Now, NIP can continue working up on this top floor. They've got Rin inside R6 room, and NIP need Rin not to be inside R6 room. So that's going to be a big job for them next, is to try and clear him out, because he's in that position. He's above the breach. He's looking to make it difficult for them to get into sight. It looks like they are going to try to just kind of push in directly without that top floor control, and they might get away with it at this rate, you know, but Cons, have a look upstairs. Go and push them and prevent those verticals.
Good boy's in such a good spot there, but steps out in the open. Un-ADS and Shock Horror dies the 2 or 3 players that are sat on the door. Could have tucked in a bit tighter there, played in behind the C4, maybe held a tighter angle with his gun up. May have given them a little bit of a different outcome, but instead, it's a 4 versus 3 coming in here. In we go, though. A knockback comes on through, and sure enough, that's a freebie for Cons. Almost for a second, but Coated wins it out. Plant is going down, but Hates has been sprayed through because of that fight on the top floor where they managed to get rid of Cons. All he had to do was hold position and threaten those on the top floor, but has now lost his life. This makes it really hard to recover for NIP. We've got 10 seconds left. We've got the Solis on side. They can see the plant going on through. A work upstairs potentially might come back to bite them here, and sure enough, no. It's all going to fall apart. Wizard won't have a chance to get this one done. Not the greatest of attacks coming out from NIP, who should be able to get the finish off on towards Wizard here. Sure enough, it's going to come on through. FearX take 3 rounds in a row.
I want to be positive about some parts of that round for NIP. I like the adaptation. They didn't get the external wall. They moved to green stairs, got themselves in and got themselves an opportunity, but FearX understood the requirements, the win conditions fantastically well there. Win condition was top floor.
Now, I'm not going to try and listen to this chat timeout because, of course, they speak in Portuguese and it's also very hard to hear anyway, so I'm not going to pretend that we have a clue what is going on in the team chat there. But just give us a quick moment here to sit and talk about the rest of this game and how it's gone so far. Yeah, NIP came out the gates flying 2-0, and I thought, man, it's going to be a bruising day for FearX. And admittedly, across the last 3 rounds they've won, it hasn't been clean in any particular round. There's been a lot of errors being made by both sides.
But it's been better.
But it's been better, and it's still FearX that have got that score that matters, and it's the one at the top of your screen. 3-2 to FearX in the defense. This ain't bad. Where I am worried is the second half, because they have got the worst attacking win rate at the tournament. Just 22% FearX. So they're going to have to show something really special on the attack of Lair to really get over the line on this one. Again, they've got a good record on it. Teams always ban it away against, and they do not want to play FearX on this map. And hopefully that translates into some attacking round wins for them.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right. Look, there's going to be opportunities on Lair. It's quite a big map in terms of the sites particularly. If you think about top floor, you've kind of got to defend ops, you've got to defend display, you've got to defend R6 room. You get spread a little bit thin as defenders. And we've seen NIP try to take advantage of that. So there's going to be opportunity there for FearX to do the same. But back to that round that we just saw. Like I said, really good defensively from FearX. They recognised as soon as they kept that external wall closed, their win condition was holding on to top floor. So that's why they took that challenge onto Cons. They won it. Great battle to win, taking down the Blackbeard. I really wish NIP had gone upstairs sooner. You know, from an if you're an NIP fan, you're looking at that thinking they needed to go upstairs sooner. I kind of mentioned it 30 seconds before. I said they've got Rin in our 6 room. They have to clear this out because they're going for the green wall. And they just left it a little bit late. It was like they opened up the green wall. They had a look inside and went, oh, no, he's in our 6 room. Of course, that's a problem. So then Cons goes up on his own. What they needed was up there as 3 of them and clear it out.
I also understand them not wanting to try and fight through a 4-man stack on top floor.
I get it,
but even just tossing in a bunch of utility, whether it's things like the Candelas of a Ying, whether it's nades coming in to stop someone holding that vert while the plant is going down inside green wall, that would have helped a lot. But they blew their chance on the green wall, had no choice but to go off to the green door. Not the end of the world, I'd say, as well, because they did manage to get rid of Good Boy, who stepped out a little bit questionably. Just again, one of those rounds a little bit scrappy with both sides, giving the other a bit of room to really stretch and flex in the round itself. But let's see how round 6 goes. We are down in the basement, I believe, so we'll see how things close out for this half and whether or not FearX can get themselves a little bit of cushion going into their attacking side, or if NIP can square things up. What I do like is the change they've got in this round in the Ying coming along, Tim. We've seen Warden a couple of times from FearX, but maybe identifying on NIP's side that he's not here in this round means that Operator can really sing when it comes to the execute. Last time they got really trying to drop through hatches, so that utility could really unlock this round for them.
Yeah, less of a presence out in the map as well from FearX. So NIP are going to have a little bit more time here. We've got Mephi on blue stairs, which we saw Courted play last time around. He's on the smoke. He's going to play a very similar position. I don't think NIP get hit on the flank from there twice. Fantasy's actually over there at the minute. He's the one that's kind of dueling with him and burning out that utility. Aside from that, they had Woogie Man up the yellow stairs, but he's gone back down into sight. So NIP, halfway through the round, they're opening up the verticals already. We've got the Boogie Drone is about to be set going inside a main lobby. So good progress from NIP. Good intel. They've recognised that the space is there available. They've gone and taken it. And I'm a little bit concerned for FearX because previously they've done well at hassling NIP on the flanks, at making them think, let's see what NIP can do. They've got the Ying, they've got the time, there's opportunities for them. Here, picks up Courted.
Well, if there's any question that we're trying to push down these blue stairs, this time the answer is a resounding yes. We've had nades coming down, Deimos tracks, flashes, you name it. They really have looked to try and force the smoke away, but Mephi has wasted a good chunk of time. These rounds fly by, it feels, in the first 2 minutes while the team's posture. We're down to the last 45. It's in a 4 versus 4. Both phone calls available to Wizard. It's worth mentioning, identifying there are no roamers, so those are available for the execute itself, and all Candelas still in back pocket for Cons.
Yeah, NIP here realistically need a couple of kills. FearX have played this as a turtle defense. They've just got themselves down on site. They're in the power positions, so NIP need to dislodge them and need to find a kill or two. If they do so, then that utility like the Candelas is going to come in big. There is no two ways about it. I think we're going to see this just getting electrified as well, are we?
And the laser gate as well.
We've not got the Kaid on side. We've got Rin and Good Boy are going to pick up kills. Like I said, it was NIP who needed them. You can't be at Cons again. You can't be missing those opportunities. I said coming into today, Cons and Wizard need to be chipping in a little bit more. It has not gone well for Cons so far. Pino picks up 1v3 becomes a 1v2, but Mephi is there for the trade. FearX close out a final defense. It was a different strategy from them, playing more turtled on site, forgetting the roam that they've done previously for basement. They get the job done. 4-2 half. Now, can they attack?
I thought they played that defense probably the best of any that they did in that half. You know, not that they played some of the others badly either. Across those 4, they have had a good couple of rounds, but that last one, just excellent. I think realising that NIP were often losing to the clock here, so how can we slow things down? Turtle up, play behind traps, burn our way through smoke canisters, you name it, and it did force NIP into a very uncomfortable final few seconds there where Pino had a lot to do and not enough time to get it done. It is a bit of padding for them, Tim, but like I say, I'm a bit nervous about their attacking prowess at this tournament so far. FearX have really got to show us what they've been working on this map, knowing again that it's a permaban against them. You would hope they've got something in the locker to bring out.
Yep, we've got the Miramonte ban. What are we going to see coming in next? Clash on the Glass, okay.
Both teams banning Glass,
yeah,
interesting.
You know, it's powerful operator. We don't. The thing is, it's one of them with Glass. We don't see him use like, he doesn't have an insanely high pick rate, you know, but can be very valuable. Can be, you know, an absolute nightmare to deal with when working through those smokes. So
I think it's what some teams refer to as like their cheese strap, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
let's bring along the Glass.
We heard Shopify Rebellion say this the other day. You know, we haven't cheesed them yet. Let's bring the Glass and do X, Y, and Z with it and try some different ideas. Now, the one ban that hasn't gone through on the defensive side, it's worth stressing, is the Azami. So with that being available, it is a little bit easier to play around Ops if that's how they want to look at using it. I think what FearX are looking at there by banning the mirror and leaving the Azami up is saying, well, we have to bring very specialist tools to deal with a mirror. It's going to frustrate us and change our lineup. Whereas on the other side of things, if you have the Azami on side, DMRs, of course, do the job of shooting them out. It's a bit risky sometimes to be firing for that long at one of those keepers, but there are more comfortable ways through them in their view. And for now, Cons doesn't even bother getting himself set up on that side of the map. I imagine he'll head over there shortly, though. Here we go. And he'll try and look to hold down Ops for that a little bit longer. Question is, do FearX then play into it, or do they go somewhere else?
Yeah, love to see this. As I said previously when FearX were defending, I really don't like to see Ops kind of given up to the attackers. It's just too powerful an area. So Cons, you've got the barbed wire on the door, you've got the keeper barricades, you've got everything you need. I want to see him holding that area for at least a couple of minutes should FearX try to work on that side. It looks like they will. They've got Rin on the ace, which always kind of suggests we're going to have a look at getting into Ops and opening that wall and opening mask wall. So, you know, they've got to hold them back out of there.
I think Goodboy might be one of the only Capital players I've seen at the tournament not running the DMR, running the power instead. I mean, even with the power before, it's an amazing couple of guns that the Capital has got. You know, decent fire rate on them as well, so you can't complain all that much. It's more the fact of the rest of the utility that he brings while also being a 3-speed. I think we as casters all absolutely love waxing lyrical about a Capital, and the pick rate throughout this tournament as well as the ban rate does suggest he's definitely up there at the minute.
I actually really like this committal of utility to Ops. It's normally the Shanker is going to be played to try and plant deny, but they're actually recognising the strength of Ops and saying, we're going to use our Shumika canisters over here to prevent you coming in. And right now, FearX have got 4 players running around in circles amongst each other on Ops door because they can't get in. They're going to have to go somewhere else. They've dipped away and said, you know, that's not it for us. I love that from NIP. Let's see now whether they can recognise the pressure has stopped on Ops, so now we adjust. Now we move.
Well, what I like from Hates is it's also that 2-layer, even 3-layer defence here where you're starting things off on the Ops denial, then you can move back in towards where he is now, which is deep inside of our 6 room, and deny the plant spot itself. So rather than just using that 1 layer of denial, you're looking at a couple there. Really like that. It does slow FearX down here, down to 115. And truthfully, Tim, haven't made any real progress into the map so far. They've managed to get mask wall open, but that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And now Cons, because they're not pushing Ops, has the freedom to move on to side door to prevent the push coming in. He's also there to defend rocket stairs as well.
This could be so interesting. The smoke still goes up through the floor, and they managed to get 3 smokes down all at once, make it 4. Trying to look to go in for the plant here as well. They've got to go shallow, and sure enough, does just that. Smokes are everywhere, but the fire is a bit too heavy. They've got to go deep. Woogie runs in, but down goes Wizard from spray. Wizard getting coated on the spray through the smoke. It's kills absolutely everywhere, Tim. It's a slaughter up towards the northeast side, but we're down to a 2v2 when the dust settles.
During all of that, Fantasy just stood inside of the smoke. Woogieman ran straight past him and now doesn't know that he's got Fantasy in behind him. So a bit of a problem. Good boy has worked his way in through Ops, so this could be a little bit of a surprise for Fantasy, but I think Fantasy's watching the door. That's the kill that they needed. Good boy tried to work him with a little bit of a backstab. It's not paid off, and Woogieman low health inside of sight. 15 seconds left to go. NIP have held on amongst the chaos. I like the attempt from FearX. It was a great try, but ultimately NIP were ready for it, and Fantasy has big-brained that. By not getting involved and not sort of giving them that opportunity to find the kill onto him, he was then in that power position on desk to close out the round. Really well done.
We'll come back to what I said about 15 seconds prior to that execute starting. The only thing that FearX had was the mask wall opened. They had no one coming down highway. They had no pressure inside of Ops. There was no one on display window. And so in your NIP shoes there, the only thing you're thinking is, well, there's only one way they can try and hit us. If we're hearing smokes go off, wow, I wonder where they're coming from. Yeah. It made it a little bit too readable for FearX, I'm afraid. And this is something that we've spoken about teams historically. I think about maps like Club, when they're trying to push all through blue, for example. It's a bit like, if you're coming from one direction, guess where all the guns are pointed? Guess how much more likely you are to get caught out by a C4? And it was nice, like this little setup that you can see here. I love the smoke through the floor from the Capital without breaking the floor itself. It did obscure the vision of the defender that was up there. Just unfortunately, the spray through the smoke from Wizard was more than enough. And like you say, Pino was then in a fantastic position. So really good first round coming out. NIP draw themselves one closer.
Yeah, great stuff from NIP. I think we're going to continue to see this be close. I honestly have a feeling that the attacking wars might continue for FearX. That gives me a couple of concerns there. The fact that they sent 4 of them towards Ops to begin with, it's an overcommittal of manpower to that space, and you know, they kind of had to give up on it after 20-30 seconds, which I don't necessarily hate. There was a lot of utility being thrown at that by NIP, which I think was great judgment from them defensively. But like you say, it was then, you know, with a lot of time left in the round, was a little bit of a Hail Mary almost. You know, yeah, get the smokes in, get the wall open, and just kind of throw it at the wall and see what sticks. I'd have liked to have seen, given the manpower that they had, a bit of pressure elsewhere. R6 are in display. Just create a bit of noise somewhere else. Hits is going to pick up Quartered. That's the Deimos gone as well. Big loss when you're attacking onto basement, because it's just given some freedom for NIP to stay out in the map. And I'm looking at Wizard up on the top floor.
I was just about to talk about the fact they've got this trifecta of the Dokkaebi, the Deimos, and the Blitz all together. It's a perfect combo for sweeping through the map. But now you're down on one, and look at this as a player behind. I think you might even know about it. They're going to have to stand up here. Hates just domes Rin, who is over the shoulder of the shield. No! It's all going from bad to worse here as Mephi tries to make his push on forward, has to double back for a second, and unfortunately, there's no one else there available to assist. I say that. Woogieman has managed to kind of snake his way forward here. Will the pressure come on through onto the back player that's sat against Mask Wall? There is Fantasy dug in deep. I don't know if they know that he's there, though.
I think that's great timing from Wizard there. He knows. I'm not sure that they do. He knows that the pressure is mounting there. So, look, I'm going to get out of dodge. I've wasted 1:15 on the score pass. I'm going to get myself back down to sight. I like that transfer from him.
Yeah.
I think he's also got the opportunity to get back up there at a later point as well.
Imagine.
So, we'll see what happens, but doesn't overcommit to that, given that they 5 versus 3. He doesn't need to. You know, it's absolutely fine now to just play for time a little bit, and that's exactly what they're doing. They've, you know, got 3 back down to sight now. You've got Cons in the typical position on blue stairs as the smoke to protect filtration, and then you've got Hates, who's the man left out to cause a bit of a nuisance of himself. Woogieman does good, gets the kill, but ultimately still 4 versus 3. 55 seconds left to go. Time is going to become a factor.
It's just another 2v1 they managed to force out there, with the shield being the main attention soak, and then there was always a player over the shoulder. Now, in the one upstairs, of course, they lost the second man, but then Woogie was able to backfill and play on that role. So at least we're seeing that adaptation out of FearX in terms of how they're approaching the round. But NIP have just played this really well. Look to burn the time down. As you said, Simful, every player back towards site in the 5 versus 3. They left the one upstairs, but now everyone is well and truly down in the basement, knowing they've got every chance under the sun to get this round closed out, given FearX are now under time pressure.
20 seconds left to go. Mephi is going to have to be kind of the tip of the spear here on that blitz. Look to get inside of sight, but it's dangerous. Wizard manages to pick him up with a beautiful headshot over the top of the shield. Cons on to Good Boy, and as you say, too easy for NIP to mop this up now. Woogieman just trying to get anything going that he can, but they know exactly where he is. They're going to run headlong onto him, so he gets a bit of something, but it's Cons to pick up the final one. Cons getting a few kills here is going to do well. I know I've been critical of him through the first half there. He's RGL in attack. It's not always, you know, the easiest thing to be doing whilst picking up numbers as well, but getting onto the defense, he just seems a little bit more settled in these first couple of rounds, and maybe he can just start to build that confidence a little bit. But 4-4 it stands now as NIP take the basement defense, and FearX could be in a bit of trouble.
Fun fact, actually, Fresh pointed this out to me before the show, is that Woogie plays, he's one of the only players, I think the only one actually at the whole tournament, who plays with his monitor on a 45-degree like lean or twist towards his team so they can see his screen. And we were like, why would he do that? I mean, maybe it's the IGL, it helps out with that. Turns out because he plays a lot of shields that he rotates it, so if he's sat on the shield, for example, his team can look at his screen and know what's going on. Now, my concern with that is you're not looking at your own screen while you're doing that.
I was going to say, you know exactly what had happened to me if I did that?
You just die as soon as you looked away.
The second that I looked away at that, I get domed looking up to see like which operators are left, let alone looking at another screen. I guarantee the second that my eyes flicked away, bang, I'd get absolutely slammed.
I think it's mental, but here we are. That's what they do and what they seem to enjoy. And I would say it works for them, Tim, but evidently it doesn't all the time. NIP have won 2 rounds back-to-back now, which pulls them all square with FearX, and this is what I said I was worried about, was this attacking side. Admittedly, the game did start out this way. It did start with 2 rounds being won by NIP, only for FearX to then sweep things back, albeit it was on the other side of the map. They've got to start turning their fortunes around, Tim, and if you're going to do it anywhere, the offsite feels like a pretty good place to do it.
It does. Hates and Woogiemen are the main men, so to speak, for their team so far.
Is there more than one of him now?
It looks like
the Woogiemen.
Looks like it was
That's a great team name.
With the numbers he's putting up, 13 and 6, it certainly feels like he's everywhere at the minute. Hits as well. Hits has been going well. You know, I saw him. I think he got an ace the other day. Did Hits? So yeah, he's been having a good tournament so far, and he's certainly still putting the numbers up there for NIP. But I think NIP are starting to kind of hit a little bit of cruise control on the defense here. I think they're going to be feeling fairly confident. We've got Mephi here working immediately in towards Ops. FearX recognising, you know, how strong the win condition was for them to hold on to top floor, and maybe looking to put some pressure on early doors and try to start that clearance, which was something NIP left a little bit late, I think. So FearX just paying a little bit more attention at the top.
Oh, well, there's certainly indicative signs here that there's going to be a big focus on towards this mask wall, to at least in the entry point and towards the map. You've seen it opened up, you've seen drones coming on through, you've seen players both in Ops and off towards mask wall itself. You know they want control of it, and sure enough, at this point NIP are backed away, giving it away to Kota and Mephi, who now look to step on forwards. So it's still this big focus on the top floor, at least for now, as we hit that halfway mark in the round. Time's certainly not been a friend of either team in this game so far, Tim.
No, it hasn't. I think they've both been a little bit slow on the attack, just, you know, struggling to kind of get themselves into position, particularly to clear objects, you know, to clear obstructions, rather. It's something that they need to be thinking about. We see the peak being taken around from the Solis there, just being impacted by that Zotor canister. It, of course, does affect both sides. And right now, NIP are actually holding on really nicely. There's 55 seconds left to go. They've only just lost Wizard. He's going to go down to that fire arrow, but it's just whether FearX are then... This isn't the site. You know, this isn't... They've got work to do after this, and that's that they've got to go down. Absolutely beautiful. I was just complimenting Hits and how well he's played so far, and we just see the big brain thinking there, drop the hatch, impact nade underneath, and get the kill anyway. Really, really nice from NIP.
Yeah, really wonderful from him, and it's a freebie here for Fantasy. They've just got it's exactly that. Team taking the words out of my mouth, and Fantasy hits 3 headshots in a row to close out the round. NIP now in the lead at 5 and 4. They've won all 3 of those sites, Tim, which now makes you wonder where are FearX going to find a site win. In the game against Scars, when they did win 7 and 5, they won 5 defenses and then won the top floor twice. They've not managed to do that in this game.
That's the second time we've seen Fantasy get 3 kills without moving. I don't mean today, I mean in general. I think it was yesterday. He got a 3K on, it was Bank top floor through the bookcase. He was led prone with the DMR, and they just kept... You know, they just kept giving him the opportunity, so he kept getting the kills, and he's going to do exactly the same there. Like I said, I think NIP have hit cruise control on defense now. I think this is exactly why they picked Leia. They knew they were going to be comfortable in that second half, and they knew that FearX have been struggling on the attack. As you say, I think, you know, they're heading down towards a 20% attack win rate now with these losses as well, so not looking good for them. Definitely issues, and it makes me a little bit concerned looking forwards as well towards Fortress. As I said, we've seen teams struggling to attack Fortress so far. You've got FearX who can't win an attack for love nor money, and they're going to be going to a map that everyone's struggling to attack a little bit, so not looking good for them.
I love how someone in chat said, FearX, you know, I'm not a fan of their attacks, and then someone else came in and said, I don't think FearX are a fan of FearX attacks right now. I don't think they are, no. They're leaving a bit to be desired, though. I'd say that of both teams in terms of time management, it has certainly been one of the biggest struggles that they've had to this point. Just so happens that FearX are also making a couple more mistakes on the intel game, losing out on a couple of their gunfights, and that can be the difference maker. NIP so far defending very, very well, and I don't see where FearX managed to find a way through, but let's not count them out just yet. We'll also remember this is NIP's map pick. FearX pick Fortress. It could be a very different affair when we get there.
Okay, back up to the top floor we go then. I love the way that NIP defended this last time around. It was a little bit of, as I said, kind of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks from FearX on that mask wall. But again, NIP are locking themselves into the Ops hold. Now, FearX have taken his army away because they obviously feel that was the big sticking point last time. Honestly, I disagree a little bit. There was only one Kiba barricade that was actually played towards Ops. It was the Tachanka, and yes, the Azami that held on, but to be honest, it could have been any gun that was holding on to it. Didn't necessarily need to be the Azami. So I don't think that that's necessarily going to solve all their problems. This time, NIP have set up slightly differently. They've kaided the wall from Ops through to corridor, and they've got Fantasy on the Warden playing inside the corridor, so he can't be flashed out. So again, I like this. We're going to see exactly how it works out. We've got Ying going in, but guess what? You're not going to get any joy because it's the Warden that you're going up against. So yeah, Fantasy's job to keep hold of this position. He's got the shotgun for the close angle. I like everything about this from NIP, and at the minute, FearX are just feeding him drones.
Hates has dug a bit further back this time as well on the Chanka, rather than looking to contest in towards Ops itself. They've kind of said, tell you what, have Ops. It's completely fine. And imagine that's a bit of a sigh of relief for FearX, who, as we saw last time, just really, really struggled. Saying that, it's got a nice angle through. Has got burned down towards the Ops door itself, which I think is why you're seeing FearX trying to get the wall opened up so they can also use that as a point to step forward.
Really good from FearX there. They've problem solved. They've gone in there, they've used the nade to clear off the claw, then got the secondary hard breach on. We can see that's pushed Fantasy back. He's relocated all the way out to display. So Ops and Ops corridor is now in the possession of FearX. They're able to push forward and get onto that side door. They can open the wall onto the default plant spot. They're using the sense gadgets to allow them the space to do that, and I like this actually. They're using it to get aggressive and push towards mezzanine, and we're going to have Coated and Mephi just joining forces there out towards the bathroom. This is really good. Coated's going to open the plant spot. He's come back to that wall, and I like this from FearX. This is problem solving, you know, like we haven't seen from this attacking side so far today.
Though now you've got the biggest problem to solve, Tim, which is that Chanka at long range with 18 Shumakers still left that can deny that plant spot all round long here.
Yep.
And they've still got Pino with a smoke. They need to do something about this backline, and sure, some smokes might help out and some flashes might help out. You've got to get the kills as well. Down goes the Warden, which now means those Candelas really start to come to life. You've got the Sen's light screens too. They've found 3 kills, Tim. This is so much better from FearX.
Well, this is
that
it.
isn't.
They've made a ton of noise over by Mask Wall, but then what they've actually done is try to come through display. That's why we saw Fantasy die. Ultimately, we now have hits in a 1v2, but this is winnable with 14 seconds left to go. He needs to be careful that he doesn't overpeak. He finds his man. Coated taken down with the LMG. FearX. So I've been really complimentary about FearX there, and you picked it up perfectly, Des. The one problem that they had left that they hadn't solved was those Shumika canisters going onto the plant spot. So they've got themselves in a position, they've got the wall opened up, they've got the kit, they're able to go in and plant. Oh no, it's all on fire. So we've now got to relocate. They go over to display. Still good. They get the kill onto the Warden. They take Fantasy out. They remove that problem. So then they can start working in towards the bomb chassis possibly. But it all falls apart because they haven't softened up that area. They haven't hit it with the tenderizer, like they have over on the Ops side. So instead now they're going into a full force NIP, and then it's at the end. Hits. I picked him up, didn't I? I said he's been playing fantastically for them. 1v2 on the Tachanka. Gets the job done. NIP holding on a little bit in that round, but held on really well.
Helped massively by the team kill from Coated onto Mephi. That's the third team kill we've seen this game, Tim. That's unforgivable at this level. Like, once a game, whoops, you know, it can happen. But as we regularly see, like, you don't see any team kills in most games. The fact that you can have 3 and 1 just shows that lack of coordination, the craziness inside their minds here and how they deal with the pressure coming in. They were in a 5 versus 2 and have still seen the round slip through their fingers.
I think it's because Plan A didn't work. Because Plan A got 90% of the way there, and then it was like, oh, time's running out. We just need to quickly run over to display and do something different because this fire's going to just last the entire round.
Yeah.
So then the chaos sets in. The confusion sets in.
And even losing the 2v1 at the end as well.
And everybody's just trying to, everybody's trying to go everywhere and do everything, and you've got a team kill, and it just becomes chaos. So yeah, unfortunately for FearX, they do not get the job done. NIP hold on nicely, 6-4, and they've got 2 opportunities to close out Lair.
Should get this one done here and now, I think.
So.
Yeah, basically, admittedly, it was a very good attack from FearX, down to the point they were in the 5v2.
They won 90% of that round.
That was when it started to fall apart, was when they got into the 5 versus 2, and they really needed to hold on at that point, but just could not quite get the job done. Now, we're looking to get a nice quiet way, I believe, in through this door. We're not letting them know that he's roaching on forwards. Hear Pro speak about this a lot. Sometimes just dropping down these barricades can be more than enough for you, but look, Hates is very aware as to what's going on, and may well try and find out exactly who is knocking on that door ever so quietly.
Not getting any value out of the Candela there, really. A little bit of damage onto Wizard, but other than that, nothing major. We have the second Candela. These are going out very, very early. I'm just looking. It's getting them into Warehouse, but I feel like it's probably space that you could take anyway. You know, I always look at your big utility like that, but particularly flashers. You know, when they're being sent in, what are you getting for it? What, you know, it's almost like the way I put it is you've got to think about you selling it. You know, what are you selling it for? What value are you getting out of it? And at the minute, FearX haven't got too much. 1:20 left to go. It's that man again here. It's 15-7. Picks up the entry as well. 5 versus 4, and they've lost Rin. That's one of the big hard breach options.
I mean, his match on the other side by Woogie is at 14-8. Really, the difference comes in the rest of the team. Mephi and Coach are just invisible throughout much of this game, whereas on the side of NIP, others at least are getting quite involved as it stands. Fantasy up above, now opening up the verticals to use against them, realizing, well, if you guys aren't taking the vertical, then we will. No problem at all. And despite Woogie having the shield in front of his face, it doesn't really matter because they know where you're coming from.
And because they've lost that entry, they don't have the manpower really to split the forces now and send somebody up to deal with Fantasy. They're going to send a nade in to site. It's not going to get them much joy. Cons manages to pick up Good Boy, and you just feel this is going to be one at a time. Missed opportunity onto the Blackbeard, but it doesn't matter as Wizard comes in with a double. Fantasy picks up one as well. NIP looking super solid on the defensive layer. Great from the Brazilians. They take map 1.
They do in very convincing fashion there, Tim, not dropping a single round in that second half. And one thing's for sure, FearX have really got to pick themselves up ready for Fortress, I think, because despite having that day's break, we haven't seen them come out with any change on their attacking side. They're now sub 20% on attacking win rate.
Yeah, it just gets worse and worse for FearX on the attack. And like I said, I'm concerned for them on Fortress because we've seen teams struggle there on the attack so far. I don't think it's going to get any better for them, whether it's their map choice or not.
Well, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, Tim. Again, if we have a little bit of confidence for them here, is the fact they're going into their map pit next. But like you say, NIP, they're looking pretty good today and looking pretty hard to beat.
This is more the kind of the NIP that you expect, but there is a little bit of me, particularly in that second half, and I don't want to, upset anybody, but I just wonder how much of that is FearX making them look a bit good as well.
There is that battle of it, right? And it's one thing I'm very aware that coming into this game, both teams have had hard fixtures prior, so it's going to make their stats look bad.
Wizard has stepped up, though.
He has, granted.
I will say that.
But then when you also look at the aftermath of this game, NIP stats will look a lot better because of them beating FearX, right?
Yeah.
It's remembering that previous context that I think is the important thing going into the final days. And as a reminder, if we see NIP come out on top in this series, they're basically guaranteed to be qualified. I'd probably see this going to a 2-0 now, to be honest, even with some stats looking pretty good for the side of FearX.
Yeah, if you just look at the numbers, you could absolutely think, there's been elements there, but when you watch the match as a whole, I think you see the broader picture there. Like I said, does it convince me that NIP suddenly will beat us? No, it doesn't, because the attacks were pretty poor from FearX. But still, look, I say it all the time, you can only beat the team that's in front of you.
100%. And looking at the two rounds that really made a difference, round 1, the 1v1 being won by Pino, and round 10, Hates winning out that 1v2. That doesn't happen. We're sat here now looking at a different scoreline, and that's the concern that I've got, is it is still close. There is still a chance that FearX can do this, but again, they've really got to shine bright on Fortress, so I hope to God they've done their homework and they're ready to bring the heat.
91% cost, Hates is great. I knew you'd enjoy that one, Des.
This guy, dad jokes, all day long.
I do it for the love of the game.
I need a break from him, and you guys need one as well. Back in a few minutes.
Available now.
So the Goyo Armory, Wamai in long, box rotate, headers Armory, Fitter CC, headers. I will put like this, but it's basically headers and rotate. And about the utility, the Wamai is playing around east, so he's putting the Wamai for himself. The recruit is putting wire on metal and wire stairs in case 5 per square.
So Ash is going to spawn here, and it's going to throw an Ash here on the table, because you can break the Goyo, like if you throw an Ash. So really, really fast, he's going to throw this Ash and already break the Goyo. Glass is going to come here with the Blitz to do the plant, and Thatcher here on the window. Ash comes here and break the other Goyo on the window.
Okay.
And then Ash is going to enter below with the drone that Capitan, that's going to play here, is looking for her. She enters below, plays there. Just to guarantee the C4s and stuff like that. And on the time of the plant, she's going to climb the metal stairs.
Yeah.
Glass is going to smoke here with the Blitz, so 4 smokes, they're just going to spam smokes. And Glass is going to come here, push, and kill the guy doing C4, maybe kill the guy on armor as well. Capitan is going to throw a fire here on this position, that's very common, and a fire here. Ash is going to push the stairs, and Blitz is going to plant right here because it's not really common. And if the guy can throw a C4, but you have Thatcher, so it's really hard, maybe Blitz is going to tank it. So that's it.
We can go next round. No, I mean, that's actually really good. And I guess when the Ash is destroying the Goyo, you just open his door, you open the other side. So you basically can't guess you will do this. And then after the Ash pushing up metal, if you don't expect this, then the round is literally over from there. We don't have smoke, we don't have warden, we are dead. So yeah, no, I think by far it's Felipox round this one.
Thank you, bro. You won this time.
Oh my god, Anne? Fast Anne? Oh my god, can you please sign this?
So, FearX have got a bit of an upward climb to achieve here, Tim. We are going into their map pick of Fortress. NIP start on the defense, though, which makes me feel a little bit worried for them.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think, you know, we've just seen how much FearX have struggled on the attack. As you said quite rightly, they're now down under 20% attacking win rate here at Six Invitational 2026. So I just can't see it getting any better. We've seen teams struggle on Fortress anyway to attack. You and I personally, when we saw the Team Secret and SSG game there. So I don't know, I just don't see it improving much. We can see what the stakes are in front of us. So FearX will secure playoffs with a win. NIP are eliminated with a loss. It is currently heading in NIP's favour. They are one map up, having one layer, and they start off on what we would argue is currently the stronger side of Fortress.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure NIP also secure themselves playoffs if they win 2-0 here. If they don't win 2-0, there is a weird world where FearX 2-0 M80 tomorrow and then snapped NIP's spot away from them. Anyway, Fortress is ready. Let's have a talk about this map a little bit more, Tim. It's one of our newer ones, of course. New callouts galore, new strats, new playstyles, new everything. There's lots to enjoy here in the second map of this series. It is FearX's map pick, as we keep on saying, but with them starting on the attack, with no idea how NIP are going to defend it, it makes me a little bit nervous for them. So, straight into our operator bans, Tim. Let's see how things shape up for the two teams. I wouldn't be shocked if it's the same sort of stuff. Shield bans coming out on the attack. Nope. Going to be a Ying. Okay, don't mind that one because we spoke a lot about how bottlenecky this map feels. There's a lot of single doorways that you have to work your way through, rooms that you need to brute force your way into sometimes. Ying certainly helps with that.
We'll have our second bands coming through as well. So we're all kind of learning about Fortress at the minute. I love seeing it played because, you know, it's kind of like the more info, the more we can see it, the better. Things are, I guarantee, Fortress in 6 months' time will probably look considerably different to, you know, what we see and how we see it played now. It will evolve over time. It's quite a big map. There's plenty of space, plenty of opportunity. I think, you know, for things to change and for things to be worked out, those second bands there, Clash and Glaz, so similar to what we've seen in the previous map as well. We're going to be going straight up to the top floor sites. Generally what we've seen so far is that we will get the 2 top floor sites and one of the bottom floor sites. It will unlikely be Hammam. That's the one that we've seen people struggle with. It was the one that Pengu suggested was going to be a very difficult site to defend. I think we did see it played the other day and the attackers won.
I'll give a shout out towards Mint on this front, actually. He did a really good video where he spoke through his discoveries on Fortress along with the stack. They played it 20 times, of course, tried all the different sites and different variations of how to approach it. And like everyone else, wrote Hammam off as an awful site that you're just not going to see played. It's far too easy for attackers to get in, hold a couple of windows, and then get the plant down. The other 3, certainly more viable, but the top 2 floor sites are the most proficient, almost easy to defend. And even then, it's still not easy because many are convinced this will be an attacker-leaning map as time wears on. So, with the 2 bans coming in from NIP against FearX here, I think what they've really tried to say is, let's target the cheesy stuff that we know that they like to crutch on when they're struggling, go towards a Glaz, go towards a Ying, just to try and take over large parts of the map with smoke or with flashes. It does leave shields available, which is why Good Boy has jumped straight across to playing on that Blackbeard, but I don't think they're going to be too phased about that. They'll have other ideas on how to deal with shields rather than potential cheese coming out from FearX.
Good bit of intel coming in from Rin there, just managing to spot out Fantasy on the Thorn, but it's just whether they can kind of use or get themselves into a position to use that intel. All coming from the north side at the minute, fairly direct towards site, but Mephi is kind of working his way around underneath on the Deimos, just looking see if he can. I love a bit of Deimos from underneath. Have a look at getting that Vendetta singing up through the floor, get the tracks going, and just make it difficult for defenders to stay inside of sight. He's concerned about anybody who might be down there with him, but he doesn't need to be because NIP have got everybody up on the top floor.
Yeah, 3 of them taking a bit of damage here on the side of NIP, so somewhat fortunate to get away with their life. Here we go. Expected off towards the right. A challenge nothing to be found as such, and Woogie's going down. Naz is Good Boy. You can't be letting Fantasy get away with 2 kills like that. They knew that he was inside the room. They droned him earlier on, and they've still managed to absolutely delete this FearX take, which is a shame because the first half of the round, I thought their approach was good. It was calculated. They had the Deimos downstairs, the shield pushing on through, but it's just all fallen apart here in the close.
So 3 players have gone into game there, looking to clear Fantasy out, and 2 of them have died. Like, it's Fantasy. It's going to happen. You know, he is that sort of player that will hit those shots if you give him half a chance. But yeah, FearX, they need to make sure that ain't the case. I think the problem was all 3 of them were kind of feeding in from the same direction, so it was easy for Fantasy to plant his feet and just take those fights. Whereas, you know, if they'd maybe push one from Old Tower side, there's a door on that side. Come into games from there, give Fantasy multiple angles to fight. All of a sudden, you've got a different situation, and maybe you lose one, but you get the trade immediately. Maybe you don't lose any. But I think, yeah, a little bit of a mistake mistake for me there from FearX, but well punished by NIP. They hold on and get the first round, and it's kind of, you know, I don't want to get carried away. That was the primary site. It's, you know, where NIP want to play on the defense. It's their first choice, and, you know, also let's remember NIP have got to win attacking rounds if they want to win the game. So, you know, something's going to have to happen there, but I am a little concerned with FearX starting on the attack here that it's going to become a bit of a slippery slope for them, and NIP are just going to rack up the numbers early on.
For most teams, they wouldn't find themselves in a 2 versus 1 against a Thorn who's stuck inside the same room as you, one of your 2 being a shield, and then still come out the lose with both players going down. So it's more a moment of brilliance from Fantasy / a big slip up by FearX. We'll give them a chance to see how things turn around. Now, as we move towards the other top floor site, we kind of flip things around. Rather than starting off in the south and moving your way towards the northwest, you start towards the northwest, around White Stairs, around Blue, and then work your way down to the southeast. So it's very much a reverse, with the bathroom and briefing area still being very much the centerpiece of where the defenders look to lock themselves down. So keep an eye on where they push in from. For now, it's again a focus towards that top side. That there are a couple of players for FearX working their way on towards that southwest balcony and looking to get a little bit of external pressure down. When I look back to how SSG defended on this site, they were really aggressive on towards windows here. Didn't want to let Secret be comfortable at all on this balcony, though NIP are giving FearX the room to get set up.
Yeah, NIP just kind of on a flip reverse of the defense. They've got Fantasy, you know, off in what was the previous site, and this time they've now got 3 in and around Dawns and Games, which is the current site. So just kind of inviting FearX in again to try that sweep through, to try and move through. This time, Fantasy's actually dropped underneath as well, so that's an interesting one. Keep an eye on him on the Goyo. He's going to play down below. He's got an impact nade in hand as well, so could have an effect there. But what he wants to do is stop any potential pressure coming in from down there, which they did try to do last time.
They're waiting for the timing here for Good Boy to drop down Old Tower to immediately be able to put pressure on towards Cons, and he's done that now, and now the Lion Scan comes out. They really want to sweep onto him. Coated, no, goes for the freebie, but look at that. Immediately Cons is looking elsewhere, has found 2, taken down a Monty. That shouldn't be happening. Both shields have fallen yet again to a single player. Woogie down dangerously low here as well. NIP have completely shut FearX out. The idea was okay from FearX, but just like in the last round, they have to win their gunfights, and they are not doing that right now.
Fortress was FearX's choice. I think it's quite clear from this that NIP were ready for Fortress, and they have prepared it themselves. I would expect, of course, every team here to have been prepared to play Fortress. We knew it was coming. But yeah, NIP looking much the better team so far. Like you say, I can't kind of fault the idea from FearX. It was trying to pull them in multiple directions there. Timing was okay. But yeah, NIP just... You can't be letting them. It's just like the Fantasy 1v2 in the first round. You can't be letting them get away with those kills onto shields like that, because you're just removing such an important part of the attack. Moving on to round 3, it's going to be down to the ground floor for NIP. This is a crucial round in my mind, because
look at this, like, it can't happen.
Yeah, it's just too easy. You can't be beating a Monty particularly at that range, and they were unaware of his position for the first one as well, because the Blackbeard just kind of pushes him and gives him the side on view. So big problems for FearX. But well, getting into round 3, this is the opportunity now for FearX, and this is why I say it's a crucial round. There's a chance for them here. It's the quote-unquote off-site. I actually think it's pretty decent site. But they're going to go in, and I would expect them to try and take a bit of top-floor control, get games, get domes, try and get some verticals, try and get a bit of an advantage over NIP here. This is their chance. If NIP come away from this 3-0, FearX are in, it's alarm bells time. They're in big trouble.
All right. Very clear the issue right now, for me at least, stands in the gunfights and not so much in everything else. I think their approach has been good. It has just been they haven't found those entries they so sorely need to get the strategy singing. Things have got to transform here. We've got no shields in the lineup this round, instead going towards that Dockerby and Deimos deadly duo that I often speak about. Very, very good for moving through the map, and I think here when you know you've got a clear across the top floor, certainly not a bad shout for it. Good boy here, moving this arm panel away. Maybe I'll lose the drone as a result. Yep, that's not super ideal, and this is the pushing towards Hammam, of where there's one player, Hates, currently lurking around, looking to stop them getting easy entry in towards the west side of this ground floor.
Yeah, just taking the challenge there. Going to be pushed from both sides, but I don't think he minds that. Fantasy is going to pick up Mephi. A good opener. Could be another one for Hates. Pino will take down Rin. There's a lot of focus towards Hates, but the damage is being done everywhere else by NIP. Hates is just burning time away here. Really well played from the Castle. He's just not overcommitting to anything. And now we're nearly halfway through the round with 5v3 and NIP again. Another round where they're looking comfortable. Fantasy, you know it's getting dangerous when Fantasy's going out of the windows, out of the doors, looking for those kills, because that's the type of player he is. He feeds off that positive energy, and he could get even more dangerous for FearX. This one could be flawless. It
very well could be, unless Woogie can recover something for the boys. I mean, looking at the kills at the bottom left corner of your screen, we've had 3 rounds. We've got 3 kills on the side of FearX. It is dominant for NIP so far. You don't really get a chance really to see the internals of Fortress, I'm afraid, because it's just been that dominant. Now, they have fed a couple of kills over towards him. Good recovery on that side. But he's got 3 to go through, and you know full well these last 3 players, they aren't going to muck about him. They'll just tighten ranks here and be ready for his push. Yeah, that's exactly what they've done. I can see on our top down, Pino, Cons, both back to site. Hates is kind of keeping himself on top of the diffuser. They know that they've got that case down. He's actually drifted away now. He's moved away, but Woogieman doesn't have it in hand. 45 seconds left to go. They're just going deeper and deeper. They're just inviting him in. They're going to force him to make a move. Really well controlled round by NIP. Yeah, dug back on site here as well. Like you're saying, got time to get back and get the diffuser and then kill all 3 players. So I think he might just try and push him for some kills here. Off towards his hard left would be the right idea, as there is a player tucked in the end of the corridor, but they see him, of course, on the cam. Takes 2 shots to take it out. This one is definitely cut as we go towards those last 20 seconds or so. Wouldn't be shocked if there's attack time in after this round as well, Tim, because painfully, it's not the strats that are failing, like I've said. It's been the gunfights. In this round, they were trying to do a bit too much, I think, take control of too many areas of the map, found themselves bottlenecks at windows and doorways, and as you saw, NIP just had a bit too much fun in terms of jumping out, going aggressive on towards those windows, and Woogie was the only player in the entire round that got inside the map itself. Yeah, attack timeout's an interesting question. It wouldn't surprise me massively, but I also think they've just had a minute at the end of that round to kind of have a discussion. Yeah, it is going to come in. I'm looking at that thinking, you've had a minute at the end of the round. There's opportunity to have a chat there. Maybe they could have saved it. Well, let's see if we can hear what's going on in a minute. Of course, got to get through our operator ban first. I mean, really here, you can't point towards any individual operator that's been a problem. Like on the defenders, you might want to take one of the shields in particular away. I'd imagine the Monty. But for the defenders, something standard like, I don't know, the Azami going away would be fine. Doesn't really matter all that much because there's not been all that much action across it. And there we go. Monty and Azami. Called it. Yep. Let's have a listen and see if we can catch what's going down. Couldn't really catch any of that. It was dark. Unfortunately, he wasn't leaning too far forward. He was still a bit further back. He knows we're trying to listen in to him. He's a smart man. And I think, as he said at the end there, the last few words I caught was, this will be effing easy. And I'm like, well, don't know about that one, Chief. It hasn't been so far. Anything but, like I said, the kills that you can see in the bottom left corner of your screen. Well, you got a couple, so it's now up to 5 across 3. But that is just nowhere near good enough if you want to see yourself taking any rounds off NIP in this half. And sadly, I don't think a coach can step in and magically have you winning gunfights. Yeah, that's the big problem at the minute. It's like you say, the problems that need to be solved aren't really necessarily something that can be solved in a tactical timeout. Nope. It's just that NIP are mechanically on top and winning everything at the minute. So back we go. Same rotation from NIP. They're going to kick things off on that battering site, and then we will go from there, see what we get. Last time around, FearX did try to push the bottom side of your screen now. They tried to go in through dorms and games. We do tend to
to see kind of a light defensive hold there. Fantasy was there on his own this time. I'm thinking back to the SSG Secret game as well. We tended to just have kind of the Bandit off on their own, playing inside of games and dorms. It's one of those where they're just trying to burn time as much as they can. Don't necessarily need too much support there. We will see this time whether FearX decide to kind of mix things up or not, because it is Fantasy on the Thorn again down in games and dorms.
It is. I mean, we've seen a lot of Thorn. We spoke about it a bit yesterday. Of course, the changes that came through to Thorn. Smaller detonation radius, much quicker time in terms of deployment and in terms of the explosion itself, and also applies a debuff now. So a number of teams have started seeing Thorn enter their standard lineups, and Capitao we've already spoke about to the death on the other side with the DMR has also made quite an appearance. Interestingly, Habana, I'd say we haven't seen all that much of, except for on specific maps despite her changes. Probably because, honestly, Thermite is now just so good with those 3 exothermics.
Good bit of utility cleared out by the Twitch drone there. We saw the trip connector taken away, which is just going to free up the movement through that corridor. Default cam taken down as well. Woogieman is over that side of things. But for the time being, Intel continues. FearX may be feeling so far like they've been going in a little bit blind, but the push is likely to come on to Fantasy in games pretty soon. They're going to get that wall open. Fantasy needs to think about the position. There you go. Much better. Much better. Fantasy needed to get out there a little bit sooner, really, but Good Boy had the angle cut off. And they're going to go in, clear games. They can now claim dorms as well and start working their way through. Much better.
This is the big battle, though, now towards briefing, because this is just, it's a death trap in this room. You've got a couple of single doorways that lead into it, a rotating towards site. You've got a pulse standing on the other side of it, who, of course, is feeding information on when you do push in. So you can have Hates swing in. You can't really push Hates away without going into courtyard and looking to work through the windows or doorways there. But that in itself is a death sentence because it's really hard to work through. But Good Boy actually having a good round here on the Blackbeard. Gets a couple of kills for himself, and that could, I say could, set FearX up for their first round win.
Yeah, I feel like Pino didn't probably really need to be peeking out there. He's got the heartbeat scanner. He can get the intel what's on the other side of that reinforcement. Knows whether the room is clear or not. So just left his team a little bit short-handed now. 3 versus 5. NIP looking to hold on. They get fronted up by shields. Makes it very difficult to do anything. But 25 seconds left to go. Good Boy with the diffuser in hand and not in a position to put it down just yet. This could be a NIP could end up winning this round where they have absolutely no business to win it because they don't get in to get the diffuser down. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen as Woogieman, Mephi, they managed to pick up a kill apiece. 5 versus 1 now. Good Boy planting. It's all up to Cons. He's had a tough game so far, and it's not going to get any effing easier, Des. He manages to get one, but as Dark said, it's been a pretty straightforward round for FearX, and it looks like it's only going to end one way, and it does.
Get some energy going in the team as well. It turns out Team Attack Timeout can help you win gunfights. Who knew? Who knew? You know, very rarely is it, hey, guys, just shoot them and we win.
Well, everything was just a lot better there from FearX. The reason that they win in those gunfights, let's take Fantasy, for example. If you remember, when he got the double kill in that position in the first round, I picked up on the fact that they all pushed in through the same breach together, just front on towards him, and he could just plant his feet and just pick targets out. And that's Fantasy's dream scenario. But this time, they opened the wall, they got him moving, they had him covered from a different angle. It was much better teamwork. It's the same way that you use nades. You send them in there to dislodge somebody, they opened the wall to dislodge him, and as he moved, they had another angle covered to pick him up, a crossfire established. Much better from FearX, and if they do that, guess what? They're going to win gunfights. You know, the shield was much more effective previously. They've been going in there, exposing their flanks and allowing themselves to be taken down. This time, that Blackbeard was nice and square, front on all the time. We saw bullets rattling off that shield, and it meant that NIP were being pushed about. Much better from FearX. They need to maintain those fundamentals coming into the following rounds. 3-1 now.
So Callum in chat asked what time is the G2 game. It is the 4th game of the day here on the B stream, but we are on what we call a rolling schedule, which means as a game ends, the next one tends to start in about half an hour. And because series can be, as we found out the other day, Tim, an hour and 20 minutes long, or potentially 4 hours long, based on how long it takes to get through a map and the amount of overtime, best thing to do is keep an eye on which game you're in at which point during the day. So we've got 2 more series to go after this one, and then G2 play. So to answer the real question, which is when does Stomping play, I'd probably say 5-6 hours.
Yeah, I'd have thought so.
Maybe 7.
Maybe, yeah. That last game's generally been around, what, 5-6 p.m. our time so far?
Yeah, I'd say more like 7 often, because it tends to end about 9:30, 10. Yeah.
Somewhere around there. So it's going to be
this evening.
dinner time, if you will. You see how I translated my northern accent there and didn't go with
dinner
tea time?
No, because I say tea time sometimes as well.
Dinner time.
What I find funny about it is we call it tea, but obviously tea is a very common thing in the UK. We say tea time. Anyone else would assume that's the time you sit down and have a cup of tea.
Absolutely not. That's the evening meal for me.
Tea time, yeah.
Dinner is lunch.
I often say to Mrs., what do you want for tea tonight, rather than what do you want for dinner all the time? Like, I alternate between the two phases. So it can be, depends what I feel on the day, really. Is it more of a dinner day or is it a tea day? I don't really know.
What are FearX feeling on the day? That's the only question we need to answer. Are they feeling like getting another attack in the bank? Or is that going to be their lot for Fortress? 1 minute 40, not too much progress so far. They are attacking this time onto games and dorms. We can see them slowly taking ground now. I think, honestly, the slower approach is working for them. They managed to take down hits, and the reason it's working is because they've been able to kind of massage NIP into these tough spots. They've done the same there with hits as they did with Fantasy last time around. Pushed him into a position where it's difficult for him to win the gunfight. And just spray through the wall there, hoping for the best. Wizard doesn't catch anybody out. And this slow FearX march continues as they get themselves in towards bathroom.
Oh, they heard him coming, Tim, or at the very least, aware of him from a drone. Fancy trying a little cheeky flank, but FearX a little bit too wise in the moment. Catch him out just as he gets into Blue Tower. Okay, a 5v3 again. It's another commanding round from FearX, Tim. It has been a massive turn in fortunes. Now the big question is, can they close the round out? Because last time they were in a 5v2 back on Lair and still managed to lose the round. Hopefully, we see them have the composure to see this one over the line.
Yeah, they've completely turned it around so far. So they're splitting into two directions on the push here. They kind of go in through briefing, but then they've also, got people at top of red stairs looking to come from that opposite side. So Pino, for example, is going to find himself in very difficult positions, and that's exactly what happens as he gets taken down by Courted. Nade comes in, forces Wizard back. He moves back a little bit too soon, gets caught out by the explosion. 1v5, shut down, flawless round FearX. And that, honestly, they look like a different team the last couple of rounds. Now I can see why they picked Fortress. I was wondering for the first 3 rounds.
Bros have leveled up. Don't know what's happened there, Tim, outside of that attack timeout. Even what happened inside of it. But just saying at the end, it's that effing easy. Turns out it is that easy. 2 on the bounce. A flawless round here. They've only lost 2 players across those 2 rounds. A massive transformation from the first few where they only managed to find 5 kills in total. Looking much better for FearX and NIP. A little bit on the rocks here. Might find themselves at a 3-3 half.
Yeah, very possibly. Very possibly. And that's going to be a big blow to NIP because I think, Fortress, as I've said, is not necessarily the easiest to attack. They started out really well, so being reeled back in like that is just going to be a little bit of a dent to the old confidence before moving into that second half. And FearX, like I said, they've got it figured out the last couple of rounds. They've slowed down a little bit, and they just... I don't know, it's like they've switched the brains on. They're looking at these positions and thinking, right, how can we work as a team to put that person in a lose-lose spot? That's not something they were doing previously. It was just kind of, there's somebody there, let's just all run in and try and get the kill. And it didn't work out for them. So much, much better from them in round 4 and 5. Can they level things up here after round 6? They're going to be attacking onto that ground floor. We've not, it's kind of weird, we've not seen the attackers on Fortress, or at least the Fortresses that I've seen so far. We haven't seen them kind of prioritising that top floor control of dorms, of games, of trying to get that floor ripped up. We have a look at the operators, there's no Ram, there's no Buck. It just doesn't really seem to be much of a priority for them so far.
Which just surprised me, admittedly. I did think we'd see quite a lot of that. But alas, different teams play it in different ways, and I'm sure we'll see the evolution of this map over time. Very much spread laterally right now, NIP up towards the northwest, so a couple of players hanging around sites itself. Med out towards the east of the sites itself often is very, very popular as a spot to hold. In fact, it is one of the 2 sites that you have. And often you'll see that be a big center point for it because this is external facing window, because there are 2 single doorways leading out to different parts of the map as well, especially in towards the south side when you first get that entry point into the building. That's where the majority of players in FearX are stacked up. Now, there's no blitz on side to go charging on through, but they do look like they're quite heavily stacked here, Tim. And looking at this site, it feels like they want this med execute.
Yeah, it certainly does. And they just need to start getting themselves into the building with a little bit. There you go. The movement is starting to come through, but Wizard is there. Nade is going to force him back. Cons manages to pick up him as well. The attack is falling apart a little bit here. Woogieman taking damage. He's being bullied around now. He's going to have to back up, surely. But there's nowhere really for him to go. That's the big problem. Fantasy is just holding that tight angle as well. It could be a little bit of a surprise for them if they are able to progress. No, Woogieman manages to use that shield to get himself into a position to find that kill at least. He's actually got himself to a little bit of safety as well. Backed up, back out of the room, and he's just going to hold now for further... I say he's going to hold for further support. We see him moving back in.
Well, he backed out the window and Fantasy went chasing to try and secure a kill, I think, assuming he hadn't managed to get outside the map, and it just gave an absolute freebie over to Woogie there. Good boy steps in for one for himself, coming down these stairs. And suddenly, all things are evened out. Yes, HP isn't great for FearX, but they're finding the kills, Tim. Con's also going dangerously low here as a trap comes in. Good boy, searching for his next victim who's inside of sight, and unlucky there not to die as he peeks on towards the corner.
Yep, just holding the angle now. Good boy knows that he might be pushed. And NIP, 30 seconds left to go. They just need to not give him any opportunities, to be fair. Just hold themselves back. Woogieman's going to be pushing Cons any second now, and that could be a big problem for him with the shield coming his way. He manages to get Mephi. They just mistimed it slightly, but it was Woogieman who managed to get him. Gets the second as well. Hits his super low health. Plant is going down. I think FearX might just win this one. Might just grab it from the jaws of defeat. It looked like NIP were in charge. But no, Good Boy finds the final kill. 3 rounds in a row. FearX have found an answer and level things up.
Siege honestly never fails to astound me. That one was at NIP. What I do love from Dark is...
Dark is making me scared from my voice.
Yeah. What I love is from round 4 they won it, and he was immediately the one hyping the team and getting them excited. And you saw in round 5 they started to, get a bit loud with him as well. The boys have realised they've pulled off a bit of a miracle there, because in those first 3 rounds it was an absolute dumpster fire. They weren't even close, and the next 3, very, very convincing. Again, losing only 5 players across all 3 rounds. They only got 5 kills in the first 3 rounds. All things have balanced out and equal come the end of things. And with 3 attacks on the board, they're actually not in a bad spot to win this second map here, which really starts to make NIP fear for their spot at this tournament.
Yeah, very, very difficult position for NIP to be in now. If you're ever going to win, as I say quite often, you're going to win 3 rounds in a row, make sure it's 4, 5 and 6. If you're going to win rounds, make sure they're towards the end of that half. Carry the momentum into the second side. I'm interested to see, particularly on this first one, how do NIP do on the attack? It is not, as we've said, an easy map to attack necessarily, and it could be that they get themselves on the struggle bus a little here. They're going to be attacking onto bottom floor, I think it's going to be, that we're kicking off on. So FearX certainly coming in here with the plan. Fortress their choice, of course, so we would expect them to have an idea of what's going on, and right now certainly seems like they're in the driving seat.
All right, well, they are going to look for a bit of vertical play here by the looks of it. Tim, we've got Pino switching over towards the Ram to bring along. So as you were saying, literally in the previous round, we haven't really seen too many teams do it. NIP are going to break that mold a little bit and look for the control above site before they start looking for their push on through. And zero doubt that makes things easier as well. Like we saw from NIP how they were defending on that last one, holding around site itself on A, just looking to contest them towards where Woogie was pushing from. They've got a lot of head height holes open up and towards where Woogie also pushed him from. So it made it really hard to get into the map itself, but the vertical is going to unsettle those more comfortable spots the defenders like to sit in around site itself and make it that much easier for you. Of course, it does mean on the other side from FearX, they're probably going to match it. There are a couple of players currently running around on that top floor in Rin and Woogie. Others may yet join them. So it's a battle for the second floor before we even start thinking about the site.
Intel phase will continue. We've got Pino and Cons on drones. Wizard's going to join them as well. They're racing around the top floor. Cons is actually, I think it's fair to mention, I was, critical in the last game about, saying I appreciate his IGLing and lots of other things going on for him, but just needed to up those numbers a little bit. Could, be transformative for NIP's performances. 7-3 so far here, despite the 3-3 scoreline, he's going well. Wizard, a little bit quieter, and I'd say those are the two that I'm really looking to try and just elevate that performance a little bit and make the difference. But Shotgun comes upstairs. It's going to be Rin ultimately, though, just as I'm bigging him up. Finds Cons, and the Hibana gets taken down. Hits is there for the trade, though, 4v4.
I was going to say, they really haven't got to get aggressive around white stairs. Like, you've got the shotgun at close range. It is wonderful. And I said yesterday and even the day before how bottlenecky this map is proving to be. It's for exact things like that. You hold close range with shotguns on doorways, on tight stairways. There's just so much that supports the defenders here playing CQC, and the attackers are the ones that have got to work through that. 4v4 so far, though. Not awful for NIP, but just like we saw back on Lair, that clock is waiting for no one, Tim. We're still focused on the second floor, and we're coming down to the last 60.
Pino's just racing around at the minute. It's, you know, I commented previously that we've not seen too much verticality used on here. This time the ram is brought along, and we are going to see those boogie goodbye. One drawn onto another.
Robot Wars, Tim.
A bit of Robot Wars. Just going to see this courtyard angle being held down onto that door. But again, FearX playing this smart. They're giving them no opportunities. Everybody's feet are planted, and they are not moving anywhere at all. And NIP, they're going to have to start going soon, Des.
Don't think he knows that someone's on this door because Mephi is tucked up so close at this point. Far at the ready, could swing out. Here's him stepping across, though, so they know that they know where they are and what's going on. But it's who swings first, who dares take that chance. You've also got Woogie looking to give a bit of an assist. Takes a little bit of damage to start. Backs out as the second man comes to join him. Good Boy gets the roll down onto Fantasy, though. Only 2 left alive here. This is looking pretty rough for NIP.
Pino nearly got one just by shooting out the barricade there, but was not quite so lucky. Instead, he's going to be fronted up with a shotgun. Manages to flip to the pistol and find his man, taking off the head of Good Boy. 1 versus 3, though, as the trade comes in from Quartered. Final kill doesn't come in. The time runs out. And it's going to be end of round. FearX with a successful defense of the downstairs. And now you're looking at it thinking, NIP are backs to the wall because FearX have got those 2 top floor sites. They could easily find themselves 6-3 very quickly.
It's the exact reverse of the conversation we were having back on Lair, where after the first half, we were like, oh, FearX are at 4-2. But now they're going on the attack and we're very nervous. Now it kind of feels the same about NIP. Yes, we had that 3-3 half, but that's 3 attacks won by FearX. Again, for a team that had a sub 20% attacking win rate, they came out and did brilliantly in that first half, have given themselves all the breathing room in the world. And now I've got such a good opportunity to go to what many consider the stronger sites on the top floor. Clearly, in their mind, downstairs is a great site to be on, and I think we'll see that debate rage between is top floor better or is playing downstairs on the one site better. The stats essentially will prove themselves, I think, across a couple of stages, but it will take time until we get a conclusive answer on that. For now, though, FearX looking like they could indeed take their map choice. A reminder, by the way, in case you are curious, third map was Consulate that we step into. From what I remember, there wasn't a great record for FearX on there over the last 6 months. 0-3 on it.
Not amazing for NIP either. A little bit better, but 2-2.
Neither team love it, I think it's fair to say.
Either team are beatable. Either team could win it. It's going to be a real toss of a coin, I think, for that final map, should we get there. And it's looking more and more likely at this point. FearX 4-3 up now, heading up to the top floor. It's going to be about bathroom site to kick things off. Last time, or the last couple of times we've seen this defended, we've seen a lot of that defense hinge around Games and Dawn. It's been about getting in there, taking that ground, and then moving through briefing and trying to challenge directly onto site from there. Let's see whether NIP follow that pattern or whether they will indeed move from the top side of the map and towards White Stairs instead. The problem that they've got at the minute with White Stairs is Mephi. He's out there looking to hold that down.
He is, although he's had a very quiet series so far as Mephi. You know, a player that when he first appeared on the scene was like lightning in a bottle. You couldn't stop him, and between him and Good Boy, I was like, wow, if these two get on the same team, they'll be electric. And sure enough, they were, and they are often regionally, but he hasn't had a great tournament so far. Really want to see him get back to the old form that we know and love. He used to be an absolute demon on Zofia back in the day, but hasn't really made himself too known at SI, at least so far. Maybe fortunes can keep on turning, though, as it has done for the rest of FearX. About 70 seconds in here. Still got NOP trying to get themselves inside the building. Fantasy being on the Dockerby is certainly going to help, and Cons went dangerously low. Of course, keep an eye on the fact that he's here on the Sens. Do an awful lot with those light screens when they get to the point of execution, but it's about getting there alive that's going to be the challenge.
I like the play here of using the keeper barricades just to prevent the progress from coming down tower for the time being. Rin's just going to continue to try and hold that spot and just impede NIP. You can see they keep shooting them out, and yes, it's a use of utility, but we're down to 1 minute 15 left on the clock, so he's done a great job so far. 1 minute 45 wasted. They've been able to get in there. Good Boy manages to pick up Pino. We see that thorn trap just going off a little bit quicker than it would have done in the past, and managing to do a bit of damage, as do Quartered and Rin. It's now 4 versus 1. It's all up to Fantasy. He's on the Dockerby. He's got time. That's the one thing that he's really got on his side, but other than that, it's starting to get a little bit thin as the hope for NIP. Tries to peek around the corner, but the shotgun wins out. Good Boy with the final kill. FearX finding their feet on Fortress, and now are cruising almost towards a map 3.
5th round in a row. Never would have expected that after the first 3. And shock horror, NIP are going to call in their own tack timeout. Again, aware we can't really hear them very well and also don't particularly understand the language. So we can keep on chatting about this game a little bit further, Tim. I think the way that FearX have really tightened up their gameplay over the last 5 rounds has been super impressive. You know, working as a team behind the Blackbeard. Mephi got a brilliant kill, for example, over the shoulder of the Blackbeard. On the defense, they've had always 2 players ready to challenge a given angle when NIP have stepped on forward. Dare I say, NIP just look a little bit lost here on Fortress. Not looking like they've got a real coherent team plan on how to take parts of the map, and this is always that risk of a map that not every single team is going to have in their locker right now. Others will have raced way ahead and just know more than you about the map and how to get wins on it. That looks to be FearX at the moment. Can't believe I'm saying that line.
Okay, let's get back into it. We're going to see the timeout elapse. And you better hope, if you're Dan, that what you've said is going to do the job for NIP, because they find themselves 5-3 down. FearX, as you've said, there's 5 rounds in a row and not looking like stopping anytime soon. Always better for me to win map 2 of a best of 3 if you're going to go the distance. You know, much like I said about the switch at the half, it just carries that momentum for you. We've seen it be very valid here on Fortress as FearX continued winning on the defensive side, and I think we might see it continue into Consulate as well, but as that's not a favourite map of either team, we're kind of waiting as much as you are to see what happens there. So, Games and Dorm will be round 9. Big round, this one. You know, it comes a little bit later in proceedings than we might normally say it, but at 5-3, there is a huge difference here in winning and losing this round for both sides. If FearX win this 6-3, you get 3 clear opportunities to win the map, whereas NIP, if they win it 5-4, everything doesn't seem quite so bad anymore. There is a big difference between those 2 scorelines, so let's see who comes out on top. NIP getting into the map pretty quickly. I like that.
Yeah, compare it to the back in the first half when that window was very heavily contested by NIP in the first few rounds. Straight in tight here, at least because on the other side of the map, of course, we are upstairs, out towards the east, so getting into Hammam, you wouldn't expect to be contested there. And even if they were, well, there's 2 of them there ready to go and tango down with whoever might be trying to hold them out. Keeping an eye on Hates, of course, on that Dockerby again, alongside Fantasy, that deadly duo that I often speak about of Dockerby and Deimos. Very good for forcing these Romans away, though I guess the problem is, for the most part, FearX are all around site here. No one's going too crazy and playing downstairs. We're not really seeing anyone stretch way up towards White Stairs. They're very much dug in here and ready to defend site itself.
Fantasy going to take a little bit of damage, but shakes it off. Doesn't stop to take out the barbed wire. The speed and forward momentum is more important to him. Going to head back just to join Cons on that Blackbeard and provide a little bit of supportive firepower if needed. NIP certainly shaping up for this top-sided take, looking to get themselves. They've got Hates top red. They've got Cons moving into Bathroom. They're going to try and push through into Briefing. That's where they're likely to come head-to-head with Courted, who's got himself located in there now.
Of course, got to try and deal with this electrical on the other side. A nade will certainly help get that other side cleared down, and they can look to get the wall open. But for now, it stays closed, Tim. I'm very curious to know where they've stashed it away themselves, whether it's high or if it's 2 scattered off to either side of the wall. Either way, it's not going to be as straightforward as maybe NIP were hoping for.
No, not at all. We're just having a good look around now. I like the keeper barricade as well, just to block up that hole, prevent further nades from coming in. It just shows you the value of that wall and why, you know, the efforts that they go into to try and keep it closed. We've got Tubarau on this wall as well, preventing the ace breach. Look, this is great from FearX. Their use of utility here on defense to frustrate NIP, really impressive.
I think he was just sat there ratting and waiting. Now it's Mephi who's dug in that spot, both around the old tower stairs. We're hoping someone else comes down, but outside of a couple of drones, there's nothing really to remark on. NIP again looking a little bit stuck. Hates getting good boys. Not a bad spot to be in. Just removed that Tubarau away. Had already used all of his gadgets, admittedly, so far from the end of the world. And a big focus here on trying to get control of the south balcony into the hallway for NIP. Coated, I think, is about to get a bit of a challenge for himself if he's not too careful.
Yeah, that changes the round a little bit, getting that hard breach off. Pino able to play on there, but in goes the Blackbeard as well. Possibility for a plant here. Pino needs to be guns up, though, and waiting for a challenge to come. Beautiful kill. He needed that one onto Rin.
Oh, just in time.
Mephi gets the job done. Downs Pino, kills Cons. Diffuser not planted. NIP all of a sudden scrambling. Hates has to come off the repeat attempt at the plant, but gets the final kill. Decides to go for it and gets it. Brilliant stuff from NIP to win that round, to really grab it from the jaws of defeat, get themselves onto 5-4. All of a sudden, things don't seem quite so bad anymore for the Brazilians.
That round looked so dumb. When Mephi got the jump out onto Vending, I was like, guys, how can you not have an air jab down there? Nearly ended the round for them, but Hates, it's that player again. Massive 1v3 back on Lair. Has pulled out a 1v2 there to see his team over the line. And as you say, Tim, it does make things not seem quite so bad. However, it was dangerously close, so don't see them as out of the woods just yet. There is still a lot more to come. FearX still remain in the defense. We're going to go back down to that first floor where they absolutely raised the roof against NIP last time around. NIP have got to find some new ideas to win this one.
Okay then, like you said, last time it was a little bit of a struggle. They did go for that sort of top floor control and power. They had the Ram brought along and the tried to use the verticals. This time, at least as it stands at the minute, we're not going to see the Ram, no Buck, so I don't think we're going to see too much top floor pressure. It's instead going to be that lateral push. This thing is, like I said, Fortress, look at the, the map. It's such a big map. There's plenty of rooms to have to work through, trying to get control atop as well. It's going to take teams, I think, a little bit to start fully utilising that area. So instead, I think we're likely to see that clearance coming across instead from NIP. Work laterally, try and take out the extension. It's, this site, this map is all about those defensive extensions. Get them taken down and then worry about site itself.
Okay. See how things build up then. As we've already said before, top floor a big part of it. I think probably a little bit less so here because we haven't got the Ram, haven't got a Sledge, for example. Probably trying to look a bit more lateral here, NIP. Maybe even acknowledging themselves that time has been the enemy for them in so many of their rounds. The good way to bypass it is to forget about that top floor, admittedly at your own peril, but to ignore the top floor for the most part. Or if you do get it, you're trying to focus more on actually hitting the site than worrying about holding vertical angles the whole time. Cons being on that Blackbeard, we saw a lot of that out of Good Boy back in the first half too. Both teams leaning quite heavily into that operator. Tim, and I think as Savage said in one of the content pieces yesterday, when he was asked, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say Blackbeard to you, he goes OP. Very, very strong, and a lot of teams have been demonstrating exactly why.
Yeah, always a difficult operator to deal with, to fight against, and it's more about, I think, one of the big strengths of Blackbeard is having a team who provides you with intel around you. The times that we see the Blackbeards taken down easily is because they're getting shot in the back or shot in the side, and they're going in somewhere where they maybe don't.
We have seen some really dumb head-on challenges from Blackbeard so far.
Ultimately, a lot of the time it's because they're going into an area where they don't fully understand or appreciate exactly the setup that they're going into. So, yeah, definitely something that the team can assist with, and we're going to see exactly that. The drone's just going out ahead of Cons there, just to try and provide him a little bit of safety so that he knows what he's going into, and the answer for that right now is not much. No challenges coming on to him so far. 5 versus 5 still, a minute and a half into the round. NIP slowly working across from that top side.
They have got Rin upstairs, and he did obviously pop up last time and go, hi, when he managed to hit them in the back, and Timmy's done it again.
There you go.
And it's arguably the target man on the other side. Hates, who of course had a brilliant round last time around, is having a good series. Cons falls down. Fantasy at least gets one back, but then it's being deleted, Tim, as they're trying to step into, like I keep on saying, a bottleneck.
I love the team play onto the Blackbeard there. Woogie was aiming, had him lined up in his sights. Nitro comes out, so it gets the shield break. Doesn't matter about the damage, because then Woogie's there, ready to pounce, gets the shots. Con's taken down, and it's 2 versus 4. 50 seconds left to go, so NIP have time at least. The Fuser is down cold. Pino's probably going to work his way towards picking it up, but honestly, it's the least of his worries at the minute. He needs to find some kills, and he needs to find them quick. He's just bothered about being pushed from that flank side.
Too easy.
Nitro that he should be worried about, though. Rin managing to find a second in the round. FearX now have a couple of attempts to wrap this one up and get themselves onto Consulate as a map 3 decider.
Very much a transformed team at the minute, aren't they, FearX, here on their map pick. Who'd have thought it? A team is very comfortable on a new map that they've prepped and come into it. On the defensive side, they look absolutely electric. 2 rounds now to be found by NIP. Well, they are toast. So it may have a tech pause.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
it just looks to my eyes like we've got maybe a tech pause coming in.
We do. Someone now I can actually ask the question, Tim. Someone in chat said, we had a gardening update yet this event. The garden's
nearly done. Nearly done.
Is it still not fully done?
Not quite. So no. The problem that I hit was I've got it's like the decking is in like 3 levels, and I've just got the final level to put in, but I just ran out of time in the year because I need to concrete the posts in. And the difficulty with concrete is there's 2 things that it doesn't like. One is cold and frost, and the other is water. So it's been raining or freezing the whole time for the last couple of months in the UK.
That does tend to happen in winter.
Yeah, so I haven't been able to get them in. So that's kind of ready to go. As soon as we get slightly better weather in the spring, they will go straight in. It's kind of up the top out of the way, so it's not a huge deal. So they'll go in. The 3rd frame will get secured in place. Boards down, bang, job done. But the rest of the decking is done. Like all the boards are down, everything else. There's even furniture on it now. I had the garden furniture delivered the other week. I managed to snag myself a great deal in the January sales. Not many people buying garden furniture that time of year. So yeah, we've got a nice little table, a corner sofa. We've got a parasol coming. We're going to be all ready for summer days. Yeah, we're good to go. And then the only other job that I've got to do, again, I was unable to do it because it just got a little bit too late in the year. So the patio that I relaid just needs some pointing doing on it. It just needs the pointing put in. But again, it's one of them where you've kind of got to shield it from the weather for a couple of days after it's been done. So it was easier to just leave it to the new year when we're going to be able to get a dry week and I can just put it all in then and get it done. But there's lots more DIY coming from me, to be honest with you, Des.
You got a few projects lined up.
I do, yeah. I'm set up, ready to. My office needs a little look over. It's a little bit of a mess at the minute, and it needs a little bit of a look over. So it's going to get a lick of paint, and it's going to get some acoustic panels put up on the walls, maybe some new shelves. So I'll do some little videos and stuff about that along the way, of course. And my living room's going to get some work done. We're going to take a bit of it's a false chimney breast, but we're going to take that down, get rid of that, I think, and then put in a bit of a sort of a. It's not a media wall, but because it's not going to have any media, but a similar sort of like cupboard shelves, that sort of thing across there. So lots to be done, Des. Lots to be done. It never stops when you've got a house, you know that.
Absolutely, mate.
It never stops.
It's at that point now. I've been in mine 6 years, and we're starting to come around to going back to where we started. The things that we did at the very start is coming back round, though. I've been pestered for ages to build a wardrobe. I need to buy one that fits the gap first.
I was going to say, have you got one?
No, I haven't ordered it yet. Because I'm really picky about number of drawers that it's got and how much space have you actually got? Because the worst thing is, at the minute, this classically happens, right? I've probably got we've got like a massive wardrobe already on one side of the room, and on the other, my missus wants another one, so it's just like a walk-in wardrobe kind of vibe. All fine. Problem is, I have like 3 boxes total in this full massive size wardrobe.
Yep.
The rest is hers.
Yep, exactly the same.
And I'm like, I do need some drawers at some point, I can't squash everything into 3 boxes. And she's got to buy a wardrobe then. And I'm just like, or you could move some stuff out, put it under the bed maybe, we've got the ottomans for a reason, so you've got extra room under there, but nope. Got to build a wardrobe. Yeah. So she's slowly squeezing me. I'll go back and I'll have 2 boxes.
Definitely.
She's like, oh, you packed 2 weeks worth of stuff. You didn't need 3 boxes anymore. I'd be like,
it's clear that you didn't need the space. Otherwise, why would you have taken it?
Exactly that, right? I'll live in out a suitcase before you know it.
And then when I get home, I've got another job to do, actually. I've got a projector lamp to replace.
And your bedroom projector?
Yeah, I've had my projector for about 3 years now. It's a great solution because it means I don't have to have like a bulky TV on the wall or anything. So it's a great solution. But the lamp has finally gone.
Oh, no.
We've done a good few. I think we've done about 5,000 hours of use or so.
Nice.
So it's done pretty well. So I got a text from the wife yesterday saying the lamp has arrived. So I've got that to replace when I get home. Nice. Hopefully it's that.
So you got the big massive macro stuff like a garden and the small little electronic-y finicky stuff that you got to work on as well.
All the jobs that that come along with home ownership.
They do. Everyone is back in the lobby, by the way, guys. We aren't just waffling for the sake of it. I promise you'll be back into game in just a moment. So what someone asked what's the score. It is currently 6-4 to FearX. So it probably is going to map 3.
1-0 to NIP.
Yes, and 1-0 to NIP when you look at maps, yes. But it looks like it's going to be a 1-1 unless NIP can do something particularly special.
Yeah, I think we're going to be going to Consulate. FearX have looked very good over the last sort of 6 or 7 rounds, really. We're just seeing the performances pop up that we're having from our players so far. Hits has been going very, very well today. Overall, he had a 91% cost on that first map of Leia. Really, he's going really well at the tournament, to be honest. He's had some big plays. He's been in the replays plenty of times, been getting clipped. So, yeah, it's all been good from Hits and continues to be so today. Woogieman has also had a big day. I think we saw his stats pop up earlier as well.
We did.
So yeah, all good so far.
Definitely some work to do for all sides, I think, as we keep on stepping our way through. That's been the big players that we were speaking about earlier that naturally all eyes are on in the form of Woogie and Fantasy. And admittedly, everything is looking up the Woogie man at the minute. It's not looking so hot for Fantasy, who is currently the lowest rated on his team. He's 2-6 on entry, 12-18 on KD, which kind of invites the question that we always have every tournament. We all know that Fantasy can be a phenomenal player. When he first appeared, he's absolutely terrifying. And then it just seems over the last few events and tournaments and leagues and whatever else, he has these moments of brilliance, but it's never consistent.
No, and that's the key. That's I was writing some notes last night, and that was one of the key words that I wrote down for NIP and Fantasy particularly was consistency. Was, you know, being able to deliver their best consistently has been a problem for them, and continues to plague them a little bit. So, you know, that's certainly, it's one of those things. It's like we can stand here and say that's something that they need to improve upon. You know, but how do you do that realistically? It's very difficult, I think, is consistency to be something that you improve upon. I think part of it is, you know, practice and preparation, and then the other part of it, I think, is being able to identify what are the behaviours, what are the traits from your team, from the games that sort of allow you to perform at your best. I think it's going back to those performances and saying, you know, what was happening at those times? You know, what's made me feel particularly comfortable? What has been the circumstances, the situation that's allowed me to perform like that? And kind of trying to replicate that and trying to, you know, have your team understand what it takes to facilitate you to do those things. And then, of course, there is a large portion of it that comes down to just doing it. You know, you've got to, as an individual, doing it. And that is why, you know, the difference often between good and great is the ability to deliver consistently.
I did speak at the start of this about how both teams, bar two players, are negative on KD, and how only Fantasy was coming into the actual game positive on entry. Everyone else was negative, but been a bit of a turn of the winds, really. Rin 5-1 on entry. Good Boy 3-0 across the series. Looking great so far. It's only Coated, really, that stands as negative, to be fair, down at 1-5. But he's having a quiet series alongside Mephi, who I've already spoken about. But Woogie, Rin, and Good Boy all putting on quite a show so far today.
Yes. Yes. More so recently than at the beginning of the game, although Woogie did have a good layer, I guess. But, yeah, overall, certainly on the up. We can see the players there getting ready, so you can stop telling the casters to press the button. We have pressed it, and we're going to be getting back into game.
That scream made me jump. You think I'll be used to it because you shout next to me so often, but the sudden...
That doesn't sound like
the
me.
absolute silence of Good Boy to just... I was like, oh my God, jump scare.
And now you've just done it to everybody else.
Yeah. They had to feel how I felt. However, we are back into game, as you can see. 6-4 to FearX. Two more rounds. 2 more rounds for NIP to draw us to OT. But as it stands, FearX have been commanding, get it, because we're going to Commander's office, commanding
I got that.
on their defences, and now they get to go to what many consider to be the strongest defensive site on the map. So NIP have got their work cut out for them. However, I do think that tech pause that we had definitely benefits benefits NIP. It kind of draws the momentum away a little bit, resets the stakes to some level. NIP have had a bit of time with their thoughts here to figure out how they can overcome this FearX side. Let's see just how much it helps them. Let's get into it.
Okay then, straight away we can see the setup going in around games and dorms. We've spoken about this area extensively, and it's because it is going to be a target likely for the attackers to try and get on in there. They can then work through briefing, try to breach into site, and go through to bathroom. We don't tend to see too much attention to like Horse and Museum. If you've been playing Fortress in Ranked, you'll be much more familiar with that attention coming through Horse and Museum directly in towards site than what we are currently seeing. Thank you very much. Than what we are currently seeing at a pro level. You know, you'll get a lot of attention through
That's why we call it Horse, because there's a massive horse.
There's a massive horse there. You'll get a lot more attention coming in through that single door, coming from top red stairs, trying to move around. You'll get a little bit, you know, maybe somebody comes up white stairs and tries to work down the corridor through Museum. That is much more commonly what you're probably seeing in Ranked. A little bit of attention from Courtyard maybe. Courtyard is a bit of a death trap to the pros. They don't really like going in there, so it tends to be more kind of old tower, sort of bottom right of your screen generally when you look at it as a top down. That blue area of old tower, get yourself in through there, into games, into dorms, and work from there. Use that as a little bit of a beachhead. That tends to be more of what we're seeing from the attackers.
Thank you very much, Red Light, for demonstrating and showing us the areas of the map as we
so
spoke
good.
about it. Yeah, he's all over it.
So good.
He's all over it. Now, I said earlier on that when we had Secret versus SSG on this map, SSG, especially Ashen, were very aggressive at every window and doorway, threatening onto this southwest platform. But in this game, it has looked a lot more peaceful. as we can probably see on our top-down view that you guys might not be able to realise, but you can see in the bottom right corner of your screen, we've got 2 players inside Old Tower, which means it is going to be a very heavy take on towards the south side. So, in towards games and bunks is the main focus point, where Fantasy popped off a little bit earlier on. I don't imagine NIP will let Good Boy get away with it, but for now he is stood close, looking to try and chew through a couple more drones and waste a bit more time before he has to back away.
Long range angle already being challenged. Blackbeard right up in the face, goes for the little melee there on the short range to try and get that shield break. Nades continue to run in. Somehow, Good Boy keeps himself alive. Impact nade goes out and they're just dropping like flies at the minute. 2 kills come in. Rin and Good Boy. Rin manages to find a second. 3 versus 1 now. It's all over as Mephi manages to pick up hits. That was done in a heartbeat there. About 5 seconds top to bottom. All of NIP die and we are heading in to map 3.
They looked ludicrously comfortable on Fortress Arth. They say that about FearX. Those first 3 rounds we were a little bit nervous, but after that, absolute lights out performance by the Koreans. Big question for me, Tim, is can they do it again on Consulate? We've seen a good map from both teams now. It's hard to call which way it goes. I still lean towards NIP, I think, but part of me really wants FearX to do it.
FearX on Fortress there, I feel like we are much closer to seeing what we would expect from FearX. That was the best map performance I have seen from them at SR26.
Agreed.
Is I would say.
They looked extremely confident, extremely comfortable, as you probably expect again on a very low-played map or a brand new map that they've also managed to then figure out and clearly bring in a bunch of strats looking very, very good.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to see continue from FearX. That's what the fans, will have expected from the 7-1 losses and stuff. It's not them. It's what I put in my notes. It's what I said this morning. We know these players so well. We've cast them for years and years now. And it ain't been them so far. It feels like they're arriving today and they might just get the job done at the very last second.
Well, as you saw us speak about, really, whoever walks away as the winner of this series is the most likely to qualify. I mean, if FearX do win, they're in. NIP are done and eliminated. If NIP do win this next one, there is still a chance tomorrow that if we see FearX go on to beat M80, they take NIP spots. There's still all to play for in this group.
Oh, the group is absolutely crazy. There's a couple of groups that are getting wild like that. Group D's the other one.
Yeah.
It's absolutely up in the air. We've got 3 teams that we know are going through, but it could go anywhere. We've got our stats coming in for Fortress there. So we're going to have a look exactly how everybody did. Look at the team effort coming in from FearX. Rin 10, Good Boy 10, Woogieman 10, all having their moments, all getting involved. But look at the entry as well. So much better. For FearX there on Fortress. Overall 7 entry kills out of the rounds that we saw to 4 for NIP. They need to be improving in the early rounds.
They do, and I've got no doubt going into Consulate, a map they know better. Both teams are familiar with it. Might not have the best record on it, but at the very least they're aware of Consulate and they've played it a good few times before. So, all things being equal, I give it to NIP, but there's only one way to find out which way it goes, and that is to come back after a short break. See you in a few.
Every Six Invitational final is a storm of pressure, a clash of tension. They leave a mark that doesn't fade.
Boston, are you ready? The Six Invitational 2025 begins now!
We need to want it, CSI. We need to want it.
Everybody always talks about being mentally prepared for a game. And no one really knows what that looks like.
Especially that pressure of SI. As a player, that eats you up.
Everything is possible.
Let's go, guys. Let's go, guys. Let's fucking go.
A single map now stands between FearX and NIP. The winner most likely stays in the competition. The loser goes home. It's not a great spot to be in for either when it comes down to what could be 15 very, very important rounds. Tim, I think it's fair to say we've had two very one-sided maps so far. Two convincing performances from either side. So what do we get on map 3?
Yeah, they've both won their own maps, largely to be expected, and as you say, looked much more convincing on the one that they chose. I like that FearX have taken some good momentum through here. I'm just a little bit concerned about their overall record on Consulate. NIP's, it's not fantastic. Don't get me wrong, it's not setting the world on fire, but they're at least 2-2. They've picked up a couple of wins recently on this map, whereas FearX have not. So particularly the attack would concern me. A good thing for FearX is that they are starting on the defense, but it does put a bit more pressure on it because I feel like they need to come out and have a really good, it needs to be minimum 4-2 on defense because they are going to struggle a little bit in the second half, possibly. So yeah, I think they need 4-2 minimum, maybe even 5-1 on the defense, set themselves up for success. If that doesn't happen, then NIP take this on defense in the second half.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit nervous for them because they've only won this map once, FearX as well. That was against CAG back in June, so it's been over half a year. It is a tough one for them. Whereas for NIP, they've won it at least a few times. Most recent one being just a couple of months ago against Space Station at the Major. They've already got success on it internationally. FearX, it feels that they have the uphill battle. However, they start on the defense, Tim, which is a good way to get off to a strong foot.
Yeah, this is, I think that's their best hope. Really strong first half, put the pressure on NIP, because if NIP can come out of that 3-3, for example, they're going to really, run away with things, I think, in the second half then.
Well, let's get into it. Here we go with Consulate. Who's at the countdown? 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Allez!
No.
I can never say 4 correct in French.
Cat.
It's a cat. Sounds really easy to do, but they have like a thing in their throat that I just can't do.
You see, now our wonderful French producer Bruno in my ears just said 4.
Cat.
I hope my pronunciation was better. I'm sure he'll tell me if it was
at the end.
He said my pronunciation was good that time.
I swear to God, I'm being gaslit about your pronunciation sometimes.
No, he just said it. He said my pronunciation.
I heard him say it. It's meant to me as well.
But I think the thing is that confuses me a little bit with French, and I am learning French at the minute, is that a lot of the endings of words, the last letter of words, don't get pronounced.
Nope.
But then you get to a word like quatre, and you are pronouncing the end of
it.
And so that does confuse me.
If it was just cat, it'd be dead easier.
Yeah.
I've said it all day. I'd just say cat.
That does confuse me a little bit.
I'd love to know what accent that sounds like to them. Cat.
Not a good one. Well, the best way.
Sounds like Marseille.
The best way, somebody explained it to me once. I spoke French to somebody in Paris, and basically like apologised and said, my French might not be amazing, and they kind of laughed and said, they said, what you're saying is good, but the accent is difficult. And they said, imagine a French person comes and speaks English, and you
never
cannot
think of it
get
that
rid
way.
of that. When it's like the accent of your natural language, you just cannot get rid of it a lot of the time.
It's so hard.
So, it's obviously exactly the same in return. The English person speaks French, they're going to have that very different pronunciation of stuff.
It's something I've tried. So I've been learning Japanese. I'm trying so hard to not sound English doing it. You just can't avoid it.
French is just more melodic. It's more almost like a kind of singing kind of language.
Well, I think it's like by the age of 7, like your tongue is like locked into the movements that it makes to make sounds. So getting it to obviously change that to pronounce things how other nationalities would pronounce their language is just so difficult.
Yeah.
Arigato gozaimasu. There you go. That was the producer down my ear, so I had to respond, obviously. All right, let's get into it then. Let's get started with the first round here on console. As I said, FearX are on the defense. They've taken away the Monty. It's proven to be a bit of a frustration point for both teams throughout this series. The Blackbeard definitely been something they've allowed through, and the Grim that we've seen quite a bit of from both sides as well. And on the other side, the Mirror is left up, but the Azami and the Clash are removed. And in fact, we've seen the Clash taken away from FearX throughout the majority of this series, so not surprised at all.
Straight away then, H just having a look from that vending side. Going to be getting the intel into the drones. Needs to be careful. Cons is going to go in ahead of him, but Woogieman and Rin just kind of shifting around that area for the time being. We've got Fantasy over on the other side of the map, going to hop straight in to top spiral window. I didn't know whether he was going to maybe have a look at bathroom or not, but chooses not to. He's right to have a look down those stairs because Woogieman is actually down there beneath him. It's going to be Mephi that manages to pick him up though. Great opener. And it does get taken down in a trade by Hits, but they also lost Wizard along the way, and that's the Dokkaebi Des. Phone calls lost. Pino picks up Good Boy. It's been a bit of a battle all over the map so far. 3 versus 3.
Yeah, you won't hate losing these two operators in the defensive side. You'll be much happy about the fact that Dokkaebi is gone, although for the most part, I think you're going to see the players on FearX now sit very comfortably inside of sight and just wait to see what comes from NIP. You've reduced their ability to push multiple directions at once. Very commonly, you'll see a shield stacked up on yellow door in towards garage itself. The droning going on down spiral suggests maybe more of a bat take in towards the hallway here for them to focus on.
Yeah, very aware that somebody's playing there. Just seeing the feet dash across. NIP now in control of the map. Everybody back to site for FearX. They are happy that they've got their work done out and around the map. Only a minute left to go, so it's certainly not bad. Bulletproof Cam is going to be taken out by Pino, and that's good work with that Vendetta. It's one of the, I think, sometimes underrated functions of that gun. Obviously, the track and the fights are brilliant with it, but also just that level of destruction that it can bring as well can be really, really useful on a mobile basis. But I love that. So the track comes in, and they say, I'm going to bait him for you. I'm going to go off into the corridor, so he's going to chase me across there, and Woogieman's ready to cover his teammate. Brilliant stuff from FearX. Coated manages to pick up hits as well. It's all up to Cons. He gets a 1v3 down to a 1v2. 25 seconds left to go.
2 C4s available, though. They can try and avoid gunfights for Cons here because it's never really going to go super well against a Blackbeard. It's just tough to win. They know where he's coming from at the very least. However, 15 seconds to go is not a lot of time to work with. There's one C4 coming out, but Coated, he hears him sprinting, steps out for the freebie. Good close.
Again, it's the reaction between the two of them. I like that. One throws the nitro in. They know that the Blackbeard is going to have to react to that, maybe change course a little bit, maybe expose the side, and the other one peeks and gets the kill. Really nice team play play from FearX in a couple of situations there. My particular favourite being that one onto the Deimos, just luring him into the line of sight of Woogieman for the easy kill. Great stuff from them. They pick up round 1, and that is exactly the start they needed. Like I said, remember, I think that they need, given their struggles on attack overall at the tournament, a 4-2, 5-1-half minimum. If this goes 3-3, I think NIP are sitting pretty going into that second half on defence. Time will tell, but FearX 1-0 and heading up to the top floor.
Speaking about that Deimos play again that we saw the bait coming out, this is why I so often speak about the duo of Deimos plus the Dokkaebi. They cover for each other's weaknesses really well. If there's a Dokkaebi call coming out there as the Deimos is going hunting, perfect chance to say, oh, there's someone to the right-hand side here. I know not to go too aggressive for this one player that I believe is alone. Obviously, he was not, and they paid the price for it. And I think that was really good capitalization from FearX to realize we got the Dokkaebi early on. Now we can look to play aggressive and bait that Deimos in a little bit. It was a beautiful bit of play. But again, this is why very often you'll see the two paired up alongside each other. In this round, it's not the case because what you're trying to look to use the Deimos for here is to get below. Look for the vertical destruction. Just helps force players to move away. A Buck, you might say, well, why not use a Buck so he can destroy more? He can, but he also can't easily identify where the players are above him. Hates will force someone to have to move out of a couple of rooms off soft flooring entirely away on towards more solid flooring so they can't be shot from below. That's why a Deimos can be even more effective than a Buck when your goal is to make players move.
Pino then up onto the rappel, likely going, I would imagine, ultimately over to the closet wall to get that opened up with the hard breach charge of the 0-0. I think, I don't want to say underpicked, but underrated a little bit sometimes, I think. Really good, you know, so much intel available from those SAM cams. Hard breach, good gun. You know, we don't see as much 0 as we might expect along the way sometimes, or at least as much as I might expect. Give him a go. If you don't use 0, have a little go with him in your ranked games. You might just find that he's super useful.
6 cameras is ridiculous.
Yeah, particularly if you're playing in a squad. I was just literally going to say that exact same thing. How do they build that synergy? Yeah, you know, if you're in a squad and you're feeding that intel back in, then 0 can be fantastic.
Or even if your players in your team go down, they can sit on the cams for you. It's the best time to kind of demand, hey, it's not just drones anymore. There's 0 cams everywhere. Look at those at the same time. Rin, knowing there's some pressure starting to build on the below here. There's one of those SAM cams that we spoke about. That came out of Pino just about 10 seconds prior or so. Hates for now starting out nice and slow, but do expect we'll see him moving towards Piano as this round bears on. A big focus on this admin side of things for NIP so far. Typically seen as the harder to start and then easier later versus coming up yellow stairs, which is easy to start and much harder later on.
Yeah, Hates is going to pick up Rin to kick things off for the round. That's going to be the mute gone. Rin straight onto the cams, of course. And yeah, nothing whatsoever towards yellow stairs at the minute from NIP. It is all admin centered. For the time being, Pino looks like he's going to move up onto connector window though, and this could be problematic for the defenders. Woogieman manages to pick up Hates in what is effectively a very late trade after that entry, and Cons is going to start pushing forward. I don't think we've seen too much value from this Blackbeard through this matchup as a whole. They've been bringing it an awful lot, NIP, and the fact that it's not getting banned out says that FearX aren't really too worried about it, and I just don't feel like Cons has maybe got as much out of it as they might have liked.
And then teams are just getting more easy to deal with the Blackbeard as well. Knowing that he wants to aggress and take a gunfight, you can kind of bait him in towards doing that. Like we said, we've seen so many Blackbeards falling down across the last couple of days. What he is good for is this, though. Getting into a good position and feeding information across. Fantasy uses him as bait as he steps in off towards his left-hand side. Plant now going down. More of these Shumakers raining on through, but it's burning Fantasy, not the Planter himself in Cons. Fantasy hits yet another a 2K in the round, and just like that, NIP, from what looked like a really difficult spot not too long ago, are now in a commanding position to win the round.
Yeah, Shumaker just a little bit deep there. Fantasy gets the final kill, but the Blackbeard of Cons was safe to put that diffuser down. As soon as I say that, I don't know how much value Cons has got out of the Blackbeard throughout the game. He walks into the site, bullies everybody, puts the diffuser down, and shows fantastic use case for the shield operator. So good round from NIP. I've got a feeling this one is going to bounce back and forward for this first half. Like I say, I think that suits NIP down to the ground. They're going to be looking for 3 rounds on the attack, and then they'll be confident that they can go through and get at least a 4-2 in that second half on defence. So far so good, I would say, for the Brazilians, but it's been, to be fair, a good round for FearX in round 1, a good round for NIP in round 2, and it wouldn't surprise me to see this just continually sort of flip-flop back and forward between who's in charge.
Well, good boy hopping over onto the Soulless here in the third round. We spoke a lot about Soulless back when she had the improvements made, I think it's fair to say, and some of the players, I think a lot of players like Likafak, who used to play her a lot when she was weak, obviously absolutely relishing in the chance for it to be even more powerful and potent than she was before. I think more and more teams now seeing it as part of their wheelhouse alongside the Thorn that we've spoken about, but more specifically on the Solus, it's that information that you feed back and forth. Now, whether or not he looks to sit and play more aggressively on the roam and take out drones, or look for plant denial later on from below, probably more likely the former, truthfully, on this map, given he's up on the second floor, is the fact that it just helps you counteract a lot of the intelligence coming out of the enemy team, and given we've got things like a Brava on side, that's only going to be even more useful.
Swapping mags!
Fantasy straight away, just going to open up the Visa window there, and again, it's if you're attacking onto this piano side, what you want to do is go in and get that top 4 control. So get inside of Visa, sweep all the way across, and force all those defenders either back to site, or kill them along the way if you can. They need to be aware, NIP here, should they try to pressure main door. Rin is playing pretty heavily around that area, so that could be a problem for them as the round goes on, but for the time being, it is all centered around at the top floor.
Another one's inside a coffin. Yeah, Pino getting rid of Rin. Again, he's falling down early on here. Rin 0-3 after what's been a pretty good series so far. It's also the smoke disappearing. It's a bit of a stinger because the gadgetry of the smoke only gets stronger as the round wears on. Pressure coming in towards Hates here, but it's a bit of a bait though, Tim. It's again the Deimos just being fed a bit too much there by the one player that is after, only for a second to step across, and oddly enough, it's Woogie again getting a freebie.
FearX are pretty lucky here, so Rin died running out of main door, and then for some reason, Courted decided to double down and ran out after him as well, and nearly lost his life. You can see he's down to like seriously low health. He really should have been taken out by the Deimos of Hates. He missed his opportunity and then was killed himself. So the fact they're in a 4v4, having not lost Courted, is like unbelievable, really. They could well easily be in a 5 versus 3 right now. So they need to kind of count their blessings and continue fighting in the round. You know, you just deal the hand that you know, work with the hand that you dealt. And right now they're still in top floor control. NIP are struggling to get moving. Cons and Pino are stuck. Fantasy's up there with them in Visa as well, and just struggling to get going anywhere.
I really worry about the time element again here for NIP. Same as back on Lair. They find themselves here trying to clear the top floor still with 3 players up here to clear. And this isn't even the site. They've then got to look at the site downstairs and make a plant happen. But very quickly, that hourglass is beginning to empty. Nades coming out to force a bit of utility. And here we go. The step on 4 from Cons here is looking. But there's 2 players on him here. He's got the assist coming in towards the right. But Mephi gets rid of Cons. One more round in the corner as Pino is looking for somebody. But there's nothing to be found just yet. Both players in top spiral on long dash. Should pick up a freebie here. Could have been a bit of a bait opportunity for FearX, but let this one go, and instead just going to leave Mephi to feed the rest of the team information on when they step forward.
Yeah, Wizard very cautious about pushing forward there. He knows that one is down, but he doesn't want to be kind of chasing that kill because he knows that they could well be using that as a little bit of bait. 20 seconds left to go. Wizard low health. Pino manages to pick up Woogie Man. A 2v2 suddenly becomes winnable with 15 seconds left on the clock. Pino has Diffuser in hand. There is one playing below. It's Good Boy on the Solus. But depending where they go for this, there might not be an opportunity. He can't do anything about it that close to the wall. He's not going to be able to find him. Courted, however, takes down Wizard. That's the kill that they needed. Pino runs out of time. FearX win the round. That's going to be 2-1.
Did have a slight moment there when it went down to a 2v2 that I was like, let's not have another layer where we see these so winnable situations thrown away by FearX. But nope. They rally, they hold on, they're up 2-1 on the defense of Consulate. A good start, I'd say, for them in the first quarter.
NIP just got completely stuck there up on top floor. They got themselves in admin and they just could never get out of there. Big problem for them. They've got to be able to solve those issues a little bit better. I think it was too one-dimensional. I think maybe a little bit of pressure from elsewhere, maybe a bathroom window, maybe a connector window, something like that. A little bit of extra pressure. Open that, meeting closet wall. Just give them something else to think about, because as it was, FearX were able to plant their feet, face up towards admin, and just wait for the pushers to come in from them. We saw exactly that with the Blackbeard. Cons couldn't get anything done because you're being challenged by 2. So yeah, difficult for NIP, but they didn't really help themselves. FearX knew exactly what the game plan was, stuck to it, it worked perfectly. 2-1, and they found themselves now going back down to that basement again.
Yeah, it'll be that same full rotation I'd expect of sites, and last time around it was relatively calm by FearX. There's a bit of chasing shadows for NIP off towards the east side of this basement. Found themselves a bit starved on time overall. Again, you just saw the replay there of that second bait of the game coming out onto the Deimos. Really good stuff by FearX there to read what it is they're coming up against and how they can deal with it. And I do worry that NIP will just find themselves suffering to time again and again and again here, especially given they've now got to get their way through not just the smoke, but you're also looking in towards the mirror, in towards the echo. You've also got the Fenriers to deal with. There's a lot of frustration. One thing I will say is FearX have really enjoyed leaning into the Vigil. We've seen it now in, I want to say, the majority of their defensive rounds. If not Good Boy, then it's been Mephi, one or two others along the way as well. They've really enjoyed what often we refer to as a selfish roamer.
Exactly that, but selfish or not, they've got to bring some value for the team one way or another. And usually for the Vigil, that is in finding kills. So let's keep an eye on that and see how they do. Dokkaebi has been brought along as well. Wizard is going to be waiting for that first kill call, rather. I mean, he'd love a first kill as well. Waiting for those to build up. Fantasy on the blitz. So a little bit of a different vibe here coming in from NIP. It's been Cons that's been playing the shields mostly so far, but they're going to switch that up and see if they can get a little bit of joy out of anything else. The first job for NIP, much like it was last time and much like they failed to do, is clearing out the map. So Good Boy, second floor, he is going to be the focus. Got the Boss G. Could be difficult for him to take those fights. Wizard manages to take down Mephi. Great start, but Good Boy, as I said, difficult to take those fights. Forget about it. Boss G flips it onto the secondary. SMG kill onto the blitz. What a pickup.
Yeah, key start. I mean, again, you've lost the smoker, which really isn't great for the defenders, but now they've also got the hard breach. That's the dream. And they've also had Woogie this whole time. You can see both of his drones, he toggles between them, were up on the second floor. One just dropped down through the hatch. But both were up there and providing information to Good Boy on where to move, where to be at the right time. A little bit of passing of ships in the night when we've had drones rolling on past those yokais. But it just means that Good Boy can be all that more effective. And so far, that effectiveness has netted them 2 kills. It might not be from Good Boy himself, but it's more the attention and time that he is wasting around the map, knowing that NIP have struggled with the clock so far.
Yeah, this has been great. I mean, all that NIP have really got left here is Pino on the ram. Other than that, you know, yeah, you can breach a couple of things with the ace, but it's not really, it was never really the focus of their attack. You know, they wanted the blitz, they wanted the ram, they wanted to create space inside a site, and both of those operators would have done that for them. But, yep, Pino, it's about the best he can do to get a couple of boogie drones down.
What does it tell you on Wizards having to run around the map and peek everything as the Dokkaebi? Like, it's still got a call available that they really want to hold on to, but they're out of drones at this point. They can't afford to drone players in, so he's having to go and dry peek everything. And well, the outcome of that is that if there is a player waiting in a slight off angle, you're probably going to be dead to him. So it's a tough spot to be in for NIP here as we get towards those last 40 seconds. FearX doing all the hard yards in the early parts of the round has set them up here for what looks to be a close unless NIP can pull out something spectacular.
Yeah, getting the boogie drones going at 30 seconds is really late in the round. Trying to do anything you can about those positions a little bit deeper into sight. Utility is going to go out to try and create that little bit of space to go in and just get a plant down over the threshold. Cons is going to go for it now then. They're going to struggle, I think, to stop him here. They can't quite see where it's going down, and somehow they managed to get it planted, but Pino has really got his work cut out now. Gets one to bring a 1v4 to a 1v3. Needs to keep that diffuser safe.
Well, they've got Good Boy working his way up the stairs here as well. In fact, Rinner's joining him. He's waiting for his teammate to join him. The perfect way to play this is in this 2v1. Starting to go for the disable at the same time, but they'll find him here. Really could have held on a little bit longer. Pino surely can't do it again. Almost finished off, but Rin has got to land the last couple. He simply cannot. Pino, another massive clutch for his team in this series.
Pino cannot keep getting away with this. Multiple times we've seen him now at this tournament winning those unwinnable situations, and that was another one of them. I love his just attention to all the detail there, Des. In a 1v3, he knows that he's going to be pushed above, but he's still aware. He's taking the comms possibly from his team about them being on that diffuser, and he gets the shot through the hatch, and I love that. He doesn't go above the player because he knows the danger is from the door. I know I'm going to take the alternate angle so I can hit him through the hatch. That keeps me safe. I've then got time to challenge the door. And I think FearX just needed to take a breath there, because they were ahead of themselves in going for that disable. They weren't short of time, so what they needed to do was just hold off the case for a couple of seconds until Pino was being challenged. Wait until that player is in position, maybe even send one through lounge. So you've got him from multiple angles, and as soon as you're engaging him in kind of soft gunfights, so you're not losing a life up there, that's when you start hitting the case, because he can do nothing about it. Pino played it beautifully. FearX gave him a little bit of an opportunity, and he took it.
can't be giving Pino a 1v4 like that. Like a 1v2 you can understand sometimes. A 1v3 feels like a car crash. A 1v4 is calamitous. Well played by Pino, though. All those years of experience is winding him back right now and showing just what you can do when you've had this long in the game. 2-2 then it is, and maybe what could prove to be the deciding round between these two. It's only the second attack that NIP have got on the board, but they're keeping in step so far with the side of FearX. And you've kind of said it all as well, Tim, like Woogie, just a bit too keen to get on the disable there of Fear. Should have waited until the gunfights began and then maybe could have got away with it.
Yeah, that's the point. It's what you've allowed him to, we often talk about feeding players these 1v1s. Pino had 3 1v1s then. One wasn't even really a 1v1. It was, a 1v, I'm going to shoot you while you're on the diffuser. And then that leaves him 1v2, but they push one at a time, and they gave him every opportunity to win that. It shouldn't have been, any chance of Pino locking that out. And I think just a little bit of breathing and a little bit of slowing down the process, FearX would have won that. But unfortunately for them, it wasn't to be the case. NIP, brilliant clutch from Pino. Love to see it. That's what we come to the Invitational for. More of that, please. 2-2 on the scoreboard, and we move on with the defense. I think this is sliding slowly into the favor of NIP.
Very possibly. Very possibly. But I don't think it's going to necessarily solve NIP's timing issues. That said, it was FearX's tap time up we just saw come on through. That's still a chance for NIP to have a chat around how they can improve this. And they are starting on the slower side of the map. Like I said earlier on, admin tends to be a bit harder to get into initially and move across from, but it makes it easier for you later in the round. Woogie with an IC4 on towards Hates. That's the gridlock offline as well, so no locking down spiral stairs. Visa stairs stays available later in the round too. Does mean that you might see a slightly more mobile FearX in this round. Yeah,
they might not be aware of that. A Nitro, especially from a Pulse, is likely to have been through a soft surface, so they might not be quite aware of who they've taken down. With any luck for FearX, they will be aware of that, and they will be using it because Woogie Man is downstairs at the minute. So, like you say, those flanks, very much an opportunity for him. It's going to create a situation where NIP have to be watching them much more. I like that. Send the smoke to the bottom of Visa stairs, and then you can get the glass in there. A challenge up there, and they're going to force their own team back there. Quarter just putting out that Toxic Babe canister, and it is going to mean that the defensive stairs just dips a little
and
deeper.
And a friendly fash. Come on, guys.
We're just using our utility against ourselves here. That's apparently the theme for today.
Stop playing around with you trying to troll your teammates a little bit, flashing them out like, ooh, lucky. But no, for now, at least no one's gone down from it. It's more of him taking that little bit of damage from inhaling the smoke that won't really be a problem, but could yet prove to hurt them. Woogie getting rid of Pino, so the clutch factor is gone. But Tim, we've been in a 5v3 before, and if I remember rightly, not just a few minutes ago, FearX still lost the round.
Yeah, I think NIP are causing their own problems now. I said that about FearX in the last round in the clutch. I think NIP are doing exactly the same here, and that's that they've not gone and dealt with Woogie Man in numbers, which is what I would have been doing. Get underneath there, 2 or 3 of you. It's a Pulse. You know that they're going to play underneath. You know they're going for the Nitro or going to shoot you through the floor when you try to plant. So go in there and clear him out. As it is, they haven't, and he's punished them one by one. He's taken down Hates to begin with, then Pino, and now you're just kind of circling around site, hoping for an opportunity to present itself, which it won't. Good Boy picks up the trade. FearX pick up the round, but still, 4-2 is a minimum for me for FearX on the defense here. I think the attack is going to be more difficult for them, so they need this next round.
I do agree with you, Tim. I do agree with you. I think what they've realised quite well here, FearX, and it was the same as back on Lair when they only really learnt their lesson late into the first half, was if NIP are really struggling on time and they're struggling to move forward, the best thing we can do is disrupt them really early on. Look to take out a player or two so they can't pull together and get this very, very slowly assembled execute plan ready. If we take out 2 or 3 players, then they're left a little bit empty-handed come the execute. As you saw there, both players from NIP that were left were stood shoulder to shoulder, pushing in towards meeting with 2 or 3 players on different angles around them. There was no way they were getting a plant down there outside of Fantasy going nuclear and picking up a 3K while flicking onto multiple heads at the same time. It's just not realistically going to happen. So well played by FearX. And with you though, Tim, they need to see out this 6th round to give themselves a little bit of margin going into the second half.
Yeah. Well, I love to be proven wrong. I love to be proven wrong, Des. But I just think a 3-3 half suits NIP down to the ground on the attacker console, if I'm honest. So let's see how this one shapes up. We're going to get into the action phase. It is going to be a piano defense. So again, it's going to be about that top floor. Look, FearX defended this fantastically well last time. NIP gave them every opportunity to do so. They got themselves into admin, but had no pressure coming from anywhere else. I'd like to see NIP change that. Maybe get somebody inside a main door, prevent them from playing, you know, as defenders, prevent them from playing inside a lounge. Get a couple into admin. Maybe get somebody up onto bathroom window. As I said, connector window, even, you know, CEO window. Just make it difficult for them to play comfortably up on that top floor. As it is, we're at least getting a little bit of presence inside a main door. There is also somebody from NIP on connector window, so they are starting to spread out a little bit more this time.
Open that floor button as well. That keeps
2
players
they
at
can't
bay.
ignore it.
I mean, Coated there has done really well, but then ran in front of the window. It's a shame what started so strong as then seen them losing a player in response. It's Good Boy to disappear, and Cons has now managed to step on board. But they've got to get through these castle walls yet as well, Tim. Deal with one problem, there's another one waiting.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done. But look, what I said, you know, it's worked for them. They've got that window. They've used it well. They've got themselves a kill, and it gives them a little bit of space up top. I'd like to see them maybe go in there and take that ground, and then they can start using the vertical a bit more. You know, there's nobody up there now. Woogieman's down in the basement. He's got the pulse, and they've got an opportunity, and they're taking it. Love to see this from NIP. Way better clearance than we saw last time they attacked this site.
Well, losing the Deimos is the real stinger because they can't then get a track on towards the pulse of Woogieman. They can't identify where he is. So for now, he is that great unknown downstairs that can be the end of round spoiler. They've really got to respect that. And if not, potentially realise that he's down there sooner rather than later and go and clear him out. Like they know now, here we go, Yellow Ping's coming on through. They know where a shield is coming from, and that might just put Mephi into action.
Yeah, I love this from Woogieman. He's down in the basement, but he's like way over by Visa stairs. He's in server. He's feeding all this information in about the push rather than worrying about defending against the plant. His teammates are there to do that. All they need to know is where everybody is. So great stuff from them. As it is, NIP feel like they're just stalling out a little bit. They've got that top floor control, but they didn't really bring anybody along to do anything about it. No Ram, no Buck. You know, they're working with the soft destruction of Zofia, for example, to try and get those angles. They're going to have to work with what they've got, and that is the next step. Try and push into sight and think about getting a plant down. As it is, the Razor Bloom stops them, and so does Ring's weapon. 4 versus 2 now, and it's looking good for FearX. They've held on beautifully again. They've played this in a completely different way. NIP have got the top floor control this time, done nothing with it. Woogieman has been the orchestrator from below with all that intel coming in. FearX have played this really well and are looking good for 4-2.
A bit like the floor is lava on the first floor for them. They've got inside lobby and then done nothing else with it. Mephi across the secondary on that super shorty to close out the last kill they need, but they played it so well. Woogie feeding information downstairs, always being willing to contest in towards lobby as well. The castle barricades really helped them there, and you saw how stuck NIP were, not managing to remove most of them. It just gave a lot of freedom to FearX to move around the map. So, we've seen dare I say, a poor first half from NIP. The 2 rounds they won, one relied on a 3K from Fantasy, the other was a 1v4 by Pino. That could be the difference maker if FearX cannot find attacks.
Yeah, a couple of times they just stalled out and struggled to find the answers to the problems that were in front of them, and FearX lent into that brilliantly. So 4-2, that was the minimum for me for FearX. There's the big question now. You know, we've spoken about their attack repeatedly. We saw that it was better on Fortress. If we ignore Fortress for a second, at the tournament in general, less than a 20% attacker win rate going into Fortress for FearX. So it has certainly been a problem for them, and now they have to win to hold their position realistically on the attack. So it all comes down to this. They're going to have to do it without Grim and Glaz. Those are the 2 bans. They, in contrast, take away the Clash and the Azami to give themselves a little bit more space and NIP a little bit less protection. But these first, I think, 2 rounds coming up here are super important for FearX. We've got to see good clinical attacks from them. No stalling out. No giving away, you know, easy deaths to NIP on the defense, because I feel like NIP are going to be very confident coming into this second half.
All right, well, this is where it all comes down to it. The second half, as Tim said, is where everything gets forged. Let's see how NIP fare off on their first defense. It'll give us a good taste maybe of what's to come across the half itself. Kicking things off with the Soulless. We spoke about that already back in the first half of FearX. Not really all that different for NIP. Similar sort of goal leaning in towards the Ela rather than something like a Thorn as well. More for the gun, I'd imagine, more than anything else, Tim, because as we've already said, Thorn has certainly proven to be the more popular choice amongst both teams. Got the lineup coming out of FearX here. They've got a plan in mind, Tim.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. You've got the Ying there, you've got the Sense there, you've got the Blitz there. They're going to try and create a little bit of chaos and get that diffuser down. Now, it's almost definitely a little objective focused round, which I love. You know, a lot of people, obviously, we always focus on the kills, the 1v2s, the 1v3s, the 5Ks, everything else. But yeah, for me, let's remember at its core, this game has another way to win, and that is getting that diffuser down, and it's something that FearX are certainly shaping up to do. On the top floor, I would imagine that they're going to be looking, bringing the Sense and the Ying screams to me that it's going to be inside meeting door. It's going to be about getting control over that Visa corridor. You can do that with the Sense light screens. You can put some in there to create confusion inside of the site as well. Send in the Candelas, and then maybe get, you know, the diffuser down just inside the door there on the wall. Looking at the side of NIP, I'm a little bit concerned about how they're going to prevent that. There's Vulcan canisters and there's smoke canisters. That's about it, really, that's going to help them.
I do quite like the use here from Rin, actually. But I was going to say vaulting inside as the other one's going off masks the noise of you vaulting in, but I think now looking back at it, it was a mistake. I don't think he managed to go inside.
Oh, no, straight back out.
Absolutely, yeah. They've got straight back outside again, and now he's going to chill there while the rest of his team get themselves into position, because on the other side of that breach now, there is the Ela waiting nearby. Hates finding one, and look at that. He's just ratting himself in there. Gets rid of Coated too. That really can't be happening, because that's a player dug inside of Adminton that should be dead to rights.
That was really unfortunate timing, because Coated's kind of kicked back on the rappel. Hates gets a kill, so the com must come in. He's in the corner of Admin, but Coated's already in the process of rappelling in, and he's going to...
Oh, mate, come on.
That one, however, is unforgivable. You know, Coated's on his way in, and it's like, Hits is there, oh no, and he loses a second life to it. The fact that they've then just repelled the third in there. I said that I was a little bit concerned about FearX's attacks. I am now far more concerned about FearX's attacks on console.
I think we let it get to 4-4, then Dark has to step in with the attack timeout. You can't let yourself be bleeding rounds in this half this way. There's no way they rescue it, and really hate to sort of prove there the point I was making back in the first half, that admin typically is harder to take early, but it sets you up for a more easy round later on, whereas attacking from the west side up towards yellow is the exact opposite. And he's certainly made it hard for them here. Con's getting one back, at least to get rid of Fancy Tim, so it's not going to be a flawless round, but Woogie's got it all to do against 4, and I think we all know how this one tends to go. It does not go the way that they want. NIP now take their third round.
Yeah, they know exactly where he was and get themselves back within one, and pretty much as expected, really. NIP, get themselves... But the question is, have NIP done enough? That's why I said a 3-3 half to begin with would have been perfect for NIP. I think, right now they sat there then thinking, yeah, this is ours. Given that they've got that 4-2 half to fight back against, it means that they have to win that third choice site at least once if they want to take this, if they want that 5-1 half that's going to win ultimately for them a 7-5 victory and map 3. So NIP will be more than happy there. NIP fans, I'm sure, pleased to see how that round went. I am very concerned for FearX given that attack. That one, like I said, that one is forgivable. The second one, Mephi going in there, is unforgivable. Like I said, Coated's kicked back on the rappel. The call comes in from Good Boy. He's killed me from the corner of admin, and you kind of like... Damn, I'm already on my way in. Yeah. I've just got to try and take the fight, and he loses it. Fine, you can. That's just siege timing. That's just unfortunate. But yeah, Mephi going in on the rappel there. I'm sorry. Until you've done something to move Hits out of that position, you can't just keep feeding him like that. So
I wouldn't be surprised, because we heard a couple of the Candela flashes go off, and they thought maybe he's blind here. I'll give it a go. And to be fair,
possibly, yeah,
if he gets a kill in that moment, then he looks like a hero, right? And this is the beauty in siege. And I spoke about this when speaking about teams like G2. Some stuff you see them do looks ridiculous, and you're just like, how on earth do they think that would work out? But when it does work out, they look like geniuses, and the difference between a team looking amazing in Siege and looking bad is so fine. It does really come down to, do you land your shots, do you get the nades in the right place, do you hit the right C4? It's a game of fine margins is the way that I'd always stress it. So we had two players challenging onto Hates very early on, for example, trying to secure a trade. That went wrong, so yes, Hates has done well, but I think FearX has had the right idea there and trying to get rid of him. They've just slightly messed up the execution of it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, yeah, I'd agree. Getting into admin absolutely key in that situation, given the lineup that they had and the execution that they were looking for. But like you say, just messing up the timing a little bit. You know, realistically, just swing those two windows at the same time. Yep. Courted and Meffy going together, you don't have a problem because you can't kill both of you. So, but ultimately, didn't work out like that. Blitz working across this top floor. Woogieman, we've already seen finding kills with the pistol. Does find them back.
Wow.
And manages to find another one. Great play on the vertical from Woogieman. Takes down hits and gets things underway. Better start from FearX.
I really thought he'd be dead on the reverse angle then. Like, thought for sure that he'd be dead to rights with 2 players spraying at him. But as we see, he gets away with the kill on Hates. A bit of a freebie being given over by NIP there. Now, the question turns to FearX. You've got half a round to play. You're in a 5 versus 4. This is a good spot to be in where most teams wouldn't see themselves going on to lose a round off the back of it. How can you be certain you aren't going to give away another massive clutch to a player like Pino? You've got to tighten things up here. Look to play as a team.
Yeah, everybody from NIP now back to site. We did have Fantasy roaming around that first floor on the Vigil, but has decided to give that up and move his way back. Sentry is going to be picked up by that Deimos scam for the time being. Dokubi Cole coming in at the same time as well, so awful lot of utility being thrown at this by FearX on the attack. But my concern there is they've not really made much progress alongside it. We've had the Deimos strike, we've had the Dokubi Call, and all it's really done is guarantee them that first floor is clear, but it's been clear for about a minute prior to that. So 45 seconds left to go. They haven't started to weaken the shell of the nut that is the side here, and they're going to have to find a way to crack it.
Yeah, well, looking down yellow, at least with the drones, kind of tends to give a bit of indication on where the attack might build up from, given they're looking for information down there. And for FearX, most of the players are scattered right now around this hatch, around Yellow Stairs itself, and of course inside the piano, looking for the vertical. No players on the side of NIP looking for a crazy flank, except for Wizard, who's sat there just waiting and lurking. But look, off to his left is another player, just aware that he might give it a go at some point. It could be a real siege time moment if Rin looks away here. The swing coming on through into maybe the right spot. Rin has got to make something happen now, though. Must have to swing on to him, sees him first and gets the kill. But they're out of time here, Tim. Final 5 seconds, they've got to go in. Plant going down, but with the time being what it is, I'm a little bit nervous for them.
Nitro goes off.
He came off the plant. He came off the plant, Tim.
Coulter had managed to get himself all the way in. Came in through the main breach and he was planting on the bomb chassis. I'm guessing that the Nitro lands near him and the fear was there. It was a little bit of a funny end. I need to watch the end of that round back.
You see it here, mate. I've got it on my screen, look.
Need to watch the end of that round back. So he's concerned about the Nitro. The Nitro is detonated but doesn't find its...
Maybe.
The reason that I wanted to see the end of the round is we saw the foam pressed to detonate the Nitro, but I wasn't sure if that had come maybe just after
this is what I was
the end of the round and he would have died.
That's it, yeah. I can forgive that.
I think that's maybe what was going on there. I think the timing was such that we hear the Nitro detonate just after the time has gone out and he probably would have died. But look, great defense from NIP to get that job done. You know, they've really held on to that situation there because they were 1v4 effectively at the end. That's how that round finished. And we're going to see it there. I don't know. We need to kind of see it back in slow motion, really. But yeah, very, very close. But FearX, they were in charge there, and had they just pushed Courted in 5 seconds sooner to start putting that diffuser down, they're absolutely fine, but they just got a little bit behind themselves. NIP take 2 defenses in a row, albeit the last one was a little bit shakier than the first. FearX back to the drawing board for their third attack.
But this is the worry, because we said the same back on Lair. There were 2 rounds that they lost in like 1vx situations that they really should have seen over the line, FearX. And although this one wasn't quite a 1vx, it's another round you look at and say, you know, that really should have been theirs for the taking. Had Rin moved 5 seconds early and been willing to swing on towards Wizard, for example, then sweep down and pressure Pino from behind, we might be having a different conversation. But just leaving it a bit too close to the money there is going to cost them. All things square, NIP most certainly in a commanding position to see this one over the line now. The choice is theirs.
Drone up and running.
Drawn straight into admin. You know, we've seen so much attention around admin so far. Basically, I don't think I've seen a single player on Yellow Stairs yet. You know, nobody looking for that point of entry to try and pressure this top floor. It's not a top floor site, it's a mid floor site, but still, you want in that top floor control. Rin manages to take out Wizard. That's the Fenrir gone, so the FNATs will be locked in. Whichever ones are active, and they're not going to change after that point.
The key one is that he's gone down there straight away in towards server, and that now puts the heebie-jeebies up Cons and Fantasy less so because he's top floor. But Pino and Cons now have got to be really, really wary of the fact that they've got downstairs control, and the server side of things is a black hole. They don't know who's in that area of the map. They don't know where they're coming from. They don't know what the pressure might look like. And so now they've got to be so careful. The Pulse, of course, can see when they're coming close, but that's going to be eyes turning towards server rather than eyes looking skywards, which can really help FearX.
Just a reminder of the stakes here. It's not necessarily, I don't think, guaranteed as clear-cut as winner stays in, loser goes out, but it's not too far away.
If NIP lose, they 100% go home.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but I think
if they win,
doesn't guarantee.
No, because FearX play M80 tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is NIP's last game, basically, and they're on 2 points now. FearX are on 1. It's going to get very, very tight either way. NIP need to see this done here and now to give themselves the best chance, basically.
It's not, you know, winners go out, winners go through, losers go home, but it's not too far away. So that's the level that we're playing at the minute, and NIP desperately, as you say, trying to keep themselves in.
Kill him, boys!
They can do nothing tomorrow. That's nice. So the Blitz was just charging across there.
They got him anyway.
Hits manages to back him up, but then just gives him the look through.
Trying to get a C4 up. Will it find him? Yes, it will.
Absolutely beautiful.
It's the time, though, Tim. They've still got time to make this one work, and there's no C4s left, but there are players and guns available, Tim. They get rid of one.
What?
No! Rin, you had to find him there. It's another round being bottled and thrown away into the ocean by FearX. Down to just 2 left, and Cons on that Pulse. All that information will go across to his team. This is panic stations now for the Koreans.
If Rin had reacted a little bit quicker, we might just have seen the rarest of things, the sledgehammer kill at SI, but no, it was Fantasy who was able to just hit that melee trigger first. Double kill comes in at the end. Fantasy with his 3rd in the round. That was a huge play from him in the middle there. To look, there was a lot of luck involved. He'll say that. We all know it. He runs around the corner, Rin's right up in his face, and he just reacts quickest, gets the knife in there, and that is going to be NIP 3 rounds in a row, 5-4 now, and starting to edge towards that victory that they need to keep themselves alive here in Paris.
It's very much being enabled by FearX, though. That's what really, really stings for them. You know, round 7 was a big 3K from Hakes. Then we had the 1 versus 4. We've just seen whatever you want to call that. It is just not looking pretty for the Koreans. And at this point, I kind of feel they'll only have to look at themselves. So how this has gone wrong. It's not that NIP haven't played well, haven't clutched up when asked. But as with any clutch, you as the other team allow that to happen. And they'll be kicking themselves big time now. 2 more rounds, and NIP secure the win.
Round 10, and we're going to be back up to the top floor. We've seen this previously, of course, and I don't need to tell you that NIP won because they've won every one of their defenses so far. It was a tough one for FearX. It was, you know, they just really didn't. We saw the 3 players going. Oh. They literally got stuck on each other. They like ran into each other and couldn't move anywhere. It's the one where we saw the 3 players filtering into admin kind of one at a time, giving Hertz those opportunities, and he managed to get the triple kill from the corner there. So we need to see FearX doing a better job of getting inside of the map. I've mentioned Yellow Stairs last time, Des. As I said, we haven't seen a single player on there. I'd like to see maybe a little bit of attention towards Yellow Stairs and Bathroom this time, because all that's happening is defensive teams are just pushing towards admin because they're thinking, well, that's where all the pressure's going to come from, so we'll just stack players over there, and they're making it difficult. They lock in. We saw it NIP attacking as well. It's the same thing. We're just seeing teams just get locked down in there and stalling out inside of admin. Love to see them instead spread out a little bit, get some pressure towards Yellow, get somebody on the site window, you know, give them something else to think about, and give your admin squad a little chance to actually get moving and get out into corridor.
I think what really stings is the first couple of minutes of the round, FearX look really good.
Yeah.
They're getting the entries, they're getting map control, they're getting into a spot, they can get the diffuser down, and like in the last round, they still had time to get a second player on that diffuser and start sticking it again. It's just everything that devolves around that is where the chaos begins. They're really lacking the composure to deliver the final product. And I think about the number of teams over time that we've spoken about around the world that they do 70% of the job, but it's the last 30 where they fall down. That is FearX right now.
Good quick work being done here. Going to have FearX getting in there with the boat, coated, opening both above and below him. Boat needs to be careful, going to take an awful lot of damage there. Just trying to make sure that behind the desk is clear, but here comes Fantasy. He doesn't see him. He doesn't see him. The wall was open into Art, and he just misses his opportunity there.
If he jumps out here, he gets 2. Oh, no! And that is how you see things ruined. He hits the 3rd! Still 2 more that he can find in the round to make it an ace. But once again, FearX being undone by their own mistakes. Fantasy, he's on for the ace! Of course he is! A flawless round to well and truly bury the dreams of FearX. NIP are 1 round away.
All the way back at the beginning of this matchup, we said we needed to see more from Fantasy. We needed that consistency. We needed those big moments. Well, guess what? They don't come. That's exactly right, Fantasy. 1 through to 5, you got the lot of them. They don't come much bigger than that. The jump out worked out perfectly for him. I thought he wasn't going to get the third to begin with. Didn't know that he was in behind those boxes, but then the shots came in, and it was just the way that 180 flick onto him. Absolutely beautiful stuff, and then cleans up the round from there. Fantasy going huge when NIP need him. 2 chances now, NIP, to keep yourselves alive at the Six Invitational 2026.
I think they'll only need the 1, Tim, truthfully, because I don't see how your mental recovers from that.
No.
You know, Coated being inside the building not 5 seconds prior, opening up the floors, you thought the area was clear, only for him to chase after you, jump out the building, murder your entire team, and you just see your chances of surviving dashed right before you. It has been a torrid 4 rounds of FearX. NIP have taken every opportunity put before them, but you really feel like the scoreline could have been going a different way with how things stand. That replay again. The 1 clip on towards the 2, and the spin for the 30 is beautiful. The last one that he gets also in a near identical position. Just absolutely amazing.
Some absolutely beautiful shots in there from Fantasy. If I'm looking towards this round for NIP, what am I going to do with it? They're down in the basement. For me, I think turtle up a little bit. Don't stretch yourself to, don't give them opportunities. The last thing that you want is to find yourself in a 3 versus 5. I'm not saying sit on site for the whole 3 minutes, but I'm saying don't overcommit. Give yourself an opportunity to escape. When the pressure starts mounting, just drop away. Even if you only waste 30, 45 seconds on the roam, it's 30, 45 seconds. Let FearX beat themselves. Just get yourself back to site, hold those angles, make life difficult for them. Don't give them any opportunity to go in mob-handed with you up on top floor, for example, catch you out in a 3v1 and get that easy kill and grind you down. Just really think about that manpower if you're NIP. Don't do that.
This is the thing is, I can't even get excited about getting entries now because they found the majority of them in the second half, and Fantasy equalises things straight back out. Why not make it a second ace, Tim? Go on, just do it for the boys.
Well, he's on 6 kills in a row without a death now. FearX are going to have to come and clear this out. They're kind of trying to push through garage here to get into site, but they've still got Fantasy up
come on, man!
We spoke about team kills earlier. We didn't
4th
see
in the
one.
series.
We didn't see one for a little while, but they've decided that it's maybe time to bring that back to the pot. Oh, Cons gets 1. Can he get a second? They're crumbling here, Des. FearX are crumbling.
Your mental's short. It has to be after that previous round, and so too do your chances of staying at SI. NIP taking the 2-1 gives themselves the best chance of doing it because tomorrow FearX need to beat M80, and that is fair to say a very tall order.
They just found that little flash in the pan that they needed at the end there, that bit of energy, that bit of fire, that bit of zhuzh to get them over the line, and it came in the form of Fantasy. Brilliant finish from him, and then you could see the energy it gave the team. Even Cons getting a little 1-tap out there at the end. Beautiful stuff. They were playing with confidence in that final round. NIP have done everything they can. They now need to sit back and see what happens tomorrow.
So FearX have got. I looked at the same time like the other games ended as well, as you can see on your screen here for Furia and Daystar. But
who's smiling the most? I don't know.
Well,
I think Furia look like they're smiling the most.
Furia have won because they're walking across over to shake the hands of the other team, Tim. Yes, that one's done and dusted as well. A very good show put on by Daystar, as we've had put on in this series by NIP. And I will give it to FearX. They had some good moments, but like I said, that second half of Consulate, it feels like so many losses were preventable by themselves, but they just couldn't get the last 20% of each round done.
Exactly, it's the old phrase, isn't it? I've said it a few times before. They're winning 90% of these rounds, and by that I don't mean that they physically have won. They haven't won 7-1. 90% of each individual round, but it doesn't add up to scores on the doors, and that's the problem.
Just imagine if they come out tomorrow and start battering M80. It will be the biggest upset in the world, but it's just that it is a tall order. And as we said for NIP, it's not over yet. They've still got to see how that game goes tomorrow, because if M80 do lose to FearX, things start getting very interesting. We come down to round if head-to-heads, all sorts of craziness. But just in case you missed it, here was the magic. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. The Fantasy has gone 15-7 with a cost of 55%. It shows that his impact was limited. That's it. The last 2 rounds are where his impact was really, really felt, Tim.
Yeah, he got. I mean, it was at least 6 kills. It was an ace, and then he got the kill, the second kill it was in that final round. I don't know. It was a bit correct. Con's got one of the last 3. I don't know if Fantasy picked up any of the other 2. But yeah, at least 6 kills in the last 2 rounds. And as you say, it's actually a really nice example of how to read, Siege stats. And like you say, where you've got that low cost, it just shows an impact player, which is exactly what Fantasy was. So we've got our overall match summary there. Woogieman taking the MVP. He did have a great game. The rest of his team, Mefe courted a little bit quiet at times, not to single people out, but it looks like the difference there in what was a close matchup was just the ability of NIP to kind of get everybody into the game a little bit more. I picked up on Cons and Wizard at the beginning of things as well. They've delivered more today. Maybe still not quite enough to, push NIP deep into the tournament. They're going to need more, but it was better at least.
Exactly that. It's an improvement, though. Yes. I will say it was also against arguably one of the weakest teams at the tournament. I won't say the weakest. We've seen others that have struggled too. Exactly that, yeah. There's